Hello, everybody. Thank you for viewing this or listening to this on YouTube. I'm Cam. We're talking about E3 today. It's kind of wrapping up now. We've seen most of the conferences between the two of us, me and my guest. And yeah, we're going to talk about those for a bit, and the good, the bad, the ugly, the terrifying, and the laughable. This is my guest, Bart. He will be talking with me about E3. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, my name is Bart. I have also been keeping up with E3. I am a gamer. Um,
Yeah.
and I pretty much watch just about every single press conference except for the PC gaming conference, but I heard not a lot happened there, so I don't think we'll be missing much.
Yeah. Bart's played games with me since I want to say we were both like 10 years old,
Oh yeah,
roughly.
it's been about
So
been
it's been like
about
15
fifth
years,
grade.
16
Yeah,
years, yeah. Some
it's
ignorant
crazy.
amount of time like that. And yeah, a lot has changed in the world of video games and E3 since we were 10 years old.
No, that's I don't even know if E3 was a thing back
I
then. I
think
mean,
it started early 2000s was when they had the actual video game giants showing off because I think it was like around the GameCube time
okay,
is when
that's yeah, that's fair because
stuff started getting big.
I've seen the videos about the huge GameCube Zelda announcement, and then the next year just ended up being Wind Waker, and people got pissed.
Yeah. Well, we won't dwell on the past too much today. Well, we'll
All
we'll
right.
bring it'll come up, I'm sure, from time to time. But
Oh, I'm sure.
yeah. So we'll start. I guess we might as well go in order. So the first one was I believe it was EA, if I'm not mistaken, and that was on
Yes,
Saturday.
yes,
For myself, I was happy to see some Star Wars Battlefront 2 content. There's been a lot of controversy about that game, back and forth about its loot boxes, but they've taken them all out. Whether it's for saving face or for the good of the world, the game's a lot of fun to play now, at least for me. And I like the changes that are coming to it with the add-on of new heroes from the prequel Star Wars, which we don't have that too many right now in the game on either
yeah.
side.
No, I definitely agree with you. I ended up kind of reluctantly getting Star Wars Battlefront 2 and actually did really like it besides all the loot box kind of garbage that came around with it.
I'm a
So
similar
I
story too, yeah.
yeah, so I'm excited to maybe get back into that and start playing it now that they've gotten rid of that. Because a lot of times in the conference, you could really tell they were skirting around the fact that they had really messed up with the whole loot crate stuff and had gotten a lot of really negative attention. So pretty much any chance they got, they made sure to say that they weren't going to be EA wasn't going to be charging any more for loot boxes or additional content either, which I thought was really
No
surprising.
more additional content passes from EA. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, there was I think this was after, yeah, Respawn had been acquired by EA at this point, but Titanfall 2 actually, I believe, was their first game in a very long time to not sell a season pass and just give free updates with their product. And Star Wars Battlefront 2 also took that business model with the DLC before it came out, but I think the way that they were planning on recouping that money was through that loot box system. And I heard that, like you just said, a lot of their conference was just it wasn't about the game so much as it was about saving face for how much I think
Yes.
Gaming Nation as a whole just cannot stand them and hates them.
Yeah, and I'm sure that didn't help, but I'm sure the major nail in the coffin for them was Disney yelling at them and saying, "How could you ruin our brand like this?" And Disney almost threatening to take away the license from them. And I think at that point they realized they kind of needed to shape up a bit.
I can't believe I'm going to be saying thank you to Disney for something when it relates to video games, but here we are.
Exactly.
Another thing too that I thought was funny about EA is that they kind of like they were with how bad they had with how bad they had handled Star Wars upon its launch. We talked about the game's come like 180 basically and is now amazing experience. But there's a lot of other Star Wars stuff in the pipe, it seems like. The Respawn developers of the guys who made Titanfall, they're actually not making another Titanfall game, which everybody thought they were going to announce. They're actually making a standalone Star Wars game that happens sometime between episodes 3 and 4, and apparently it's going to feature a lot of Jedi combat stuff. So I'm not entirely certain what's going to go on with that, but I really liked everything that Respawn's put out so far, so I'm willing to give it a shot.
Yeah, my only real interaction with Respawn was playing I think the 360 version of
Titanfall 1.
Which, even though it was on the 360, it was actually still a pretty fun
game, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see what they do. They also made it clear that not only will there be Jedi combat, but it takes place not only between episode 3 and 4, but it's taking place essentially the remnants of Order 66 from Star Wars Episode 3.
And that's a place that's not really been explored that much in the universe.
Oh, exactly. So it'll be really interesting to see what they do. I wish that it was a bit more than just an announcement by Respawn that it's being made, and there was at the very least a trailer. But I mean, I'm sure they don't have a lot going on right now, so I'm sure we'll see that next year.
This leads me to believe that that the game is still at least 2 years out.
I would agree. I would definitely agree.
They've just recently stopped. I believe they've stopped content for Titanfall 2. They stopped at the end of last year, new content. Maybe a bit before the end of last year, and I don't think the game's been getting updates either. So it would make sense that if they're starting to shift all their focus on making this game, we might see it spring of next year. And I think another thing too that we'll touch base on this more later. There's not a lot of stuff coming out in terms of exclusivity this fall for giants Microsoft and Sony. I think a large part of that is due to the fact that everybody's afraid of Red Dead Redemption 2.
You know what? I don't blame them. That game is going to blow up like crazy.
I know. I wasn't even a huge fan of 1, but I recognize why people like it. And it's not so much that I think it was bad. It's just I've never really clicked with Rockstar as a developer. I don't know what it is. I couldn't get into their games.
I would agree for the most part. I played like an hour or two of Red Dead, and it was all right, but just kind of not my cup of tea. But I mean, Rockstar Games, say what you will about the gameplay, but they do put a lot of craft into what they make, and they spend the time to make a really well polished game.
And I won't take that away from them at all. No, I won't, because and even if I were to try to, I'm going to look like a fool when I say that they're terrible, and they've got the most highest grossing game of all time under their belt, which is Grand Theft Auto 5. More people have that game than people have Xbox Ones. That to me alone is like, Jesus.
Yeah. No, I know. It's crazy. I mean, man, I've heard stories about like grandma cab drivers who, like, after their shift, they go home and play GTA Online. Like,
that's amazing.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
And not to mention, when was the last time you heard a game that came out in 2012, or might have been? No, I think it was 2012. It still sells for $60.
No. I know. The only game that does that is a Nintendo game.
I know, that's a 6-year-old game. And Nintendo games go up, but that's because they don't produce enough of them, or you're just paying for a ridiculously highly valued IP like Zelda.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. All in all, I think EA wasn't too terrible though. I mean, they had some stuff to show off, but a lot of it too was just them covering their butts. Moving forward.
I'd agree.
Moving forward, I think the next one was Bethesda, or was it Microsoft?
Microsoft was next.
Yes, Microsoft's conference, and they showed off a lot of games that I'm going to be buying on either Steam or probably PlayStation. Not too much first party stuff.
That's kind of the thing. They definitely showed a lot this year, and while I don't own an Xbox, I really only have a computer for Steam and stuff like that plays a lot of their games. But I was still pretty excited, and I'd say they showed a lot more stuff than they have in the past, and they didn't spend 15 minutes having a world premiere for a new car. So that's a plus.
Yeah, well, that's true. You learned a couple of things this year, I think, from E3 that probably surprised you. I think we talked about one of them over the phone a couple of days ago. The how big of a franchise Forza has become.
Oh yeah, no, I know. I had no idea.
I don't think anybody did. I didn't even know, and I actually love the Forza games. The only ones I don't own are Forza 2 and Forza 1.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I went back and bought 4 and 3 after I got into 5. But the Forza franchise has blown up like crazy, and really that's a damn good thing to hear, considering that that's the only game they're putting out this year. Because we've been starved over here. As a longtime Microsoft fan myself, we've been starved for games for the last year and a half.
Yeah, they either keep moving stuff back or canceling them.
The last big Microsoft release that I was excited for and I got was Cuphead, and that wasn't even like a AAA game. That was an indie game that they bought exclusivity for. And before that, it would have been Gears of War 4. And we're looking right there. We're looking at
oh boy.
We're looking at October of 2016. So we're in June of 2018 now. So that's kind of scary to think about.
Oh boy. Yeah. Oh boy. Oh, and even with Cuphead, that's already come out on like Steam and PC.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the other thing. A lot of the stuff that Microsoft is putting out is going to Steam as well. It seems like it's also helping them, though. I think that they have that they're trying to push PC gaming on people as well. So whatever, because with the whole buy digital and you can play on either your Xbox or your PC, and I feel like while their console sales, other than when they put out the X, they hadn't been doing as well. I think maybe, hopefully for them, the sales of PC and gaming PCs maybe is doing something. I don't know. I don't have the numbers in front of me, nor could I find them in a timely manner.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's anything to go off of their conference, they did make a pretty big deal of the fact that they're going to try and make console gaming accessible on any device, which still not entirely sure what that means. But I mean, at the very least, I think that would mean that they're trying to bring more gaming experiences to the PC. And
if they master that,
yeah.
And then they put out the Surface phone and get that in people's hands, that could drive their brand for the phones.
Oh, definitely.
Gamers everywhere would be wanting Windows phones. They wouldn't give a shit about iPhones or Androids anymore.
They just got to get the games.
Exactly. But then again, at the same time, think about games like Halo 5 Guardians, or think about games like Forza 7 that runs in like 4K native if you choose it to, if you have an Xbox One X. How are you going to throw that on a phone? Like,
no, exactly. And that's why I'm a little hesitant about that
other than
news.
Like streaming to it, but that's going to require some damn good internet, and you're not going to want to play anything online with that because you're going to have an input delay, and it's a mess.
And I'm sure the data rates on your phone are just going to go through the roof.
Hopefully by then everybody will have unlimited plans, but I'm not going to hold my breath for that to actually. That still is like a space age thought concept to me.
Exactly.
We'll get flying cars before that.
Oh boy!
But Microsoft suffered this year too. From they did show off, to their credit though, they did announce that Halo is not dead. They showed off 3 Gears of War games, 2 which I'm super concerned about, and the other one that I'm scratching my head over. To clarify, I'm concerned about the Funko Pop one and the Gears of War Tactics game.
Oh man, there has been a great GIF going around of this this streamer called Etika, and he's known for very over-the-top reactions. And he was watching the Microsoft conference, and he saw the Gears logo, and he got really excited. And then as soon as the Marcus Phoenix pop figure jumped out, you just see his face. It is one of my favorite things of all of E3, is just the pure elation on his face to just the extreme disappointment.
I remember you sent me that. That was God, that was hilarious. That was exactly how I felt when I saw that. I was at work. We had some downtime watching the stream when it went live, and I started wanting to flip over tables. I was so upset.
Well, it is a good thing that they not only announced the new Gears game, Gears 5, but they also showed a bit of gameplay and a trailer, which, like I said, was pretty exciting to see, even though I've only really played Gears 1.
You've got a lot more street cred than a lot of other people in the franchise now. Don't worry. I have a friend who wants Gears of War to return like it was in Judgment.
Oh, really? I've not heard good things about that.
Yeah, no,
so.
there is nothing good about Judgment other than the overrun mode. Even the campaign played strangely. How do you mess up a Gears of War campaign? I don't know, but they found a way to do it.
Wow.
But no.
Anyways, no. Gears 5 seems like it's got a pretty interesting story going on. I have to be honest. I don't really know much of the characters besides the like two main ones from Gears 1, but it seems like they're having a bit more of a story than just aliens have invaded and we have to fight them, or my wife.
Well, it's now it's kind of like I'll just condense it real quick. So Gears of War 1, 2, and 3 was about fighting like the locusts that were coming out of the ground. And they finally put them all down, and everything's fine at the end of 3. And then in 4 was another regime was taking over the world, the coalition of governments, and like everybody it was like Gears were like kind of like a fascist style like thing that's taken over the world. So there's a whole bunch of outsiders that are like being oppressed by it who also oppose it. And the main characters were taking place where the people who are outside of it being oppressed by it. They're trying to run away from not wanting to join the coalition, but the coalition is swallowing up like every like humanity like outpost thing on the grounds of, hey, if we band together, the shit that happened last time can't ever happen again. But the people are like, well, that's no way to live under, like that's like the whole like power struggle thing. And then this is kind of looks like it jumps like 6 years. It looks like it jumped like 6 years after the end of the last game almost. So we have another large jump in time. Marcus Phoenix looks even older. And his kid and then the kid's love interest. The story was about JD, the first one, and now it's about her. So it looks like we're getting the story's taking a completely different direction where she's going to be the main focus this time. So having a Gears of War game with a girl as the main character is unheard of, and I think that's actually a pretty interesting concept. Now, I with how ridiculous of writing Gears of War as a story has, I'm very I'm very hesitant to think that it's going to be hands down amazing. I'm cautious. I'm cautiously optimistic, I guess is the best way to put it.
So I have to ask, the trailer seemed to imply that she was part locust, or am I mistaken about that?
So at the end of 3, you beat the Locust Queen, whose name is Mira, and she has this pendant that's the locust symbol. And at the end of Gears of War 4, spoiler alert, at the end of Gears of War 4, they're going to rescue Kate's mom the entire time, and they can't, or not her mom, they're going to, I forget, it's been a minute since I played it, but somehow at the end, there's this pendant that they find out belongs to her that they uncover in one of the tunnels that they're clearing out from the swarm, and it's the locust pendant, and on the back of it, or no, it's like this necklace that she has, and on the back of it is the locust pendant. So you're like, oh shit, she's evil. But she's actually not, but Mira, it's implied that Mira is her grandmother.
Okay.
So the Locust Queen is her grandma.
So we might not only, so she might get locust powers in the game, possibly.
Well, they don't really, it's not so much that they have power. I just don't know where it's going to really go. It's definitely a plot device that they're going to use later.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we'll get the answer in this one. I would assume we'd probably get it in 6, if anything.
Okay. But anyways, it looked exciting. We didn't see a lot of gameplay,
Yeah.
but it did look really cool. I remember she had this big giant like staff or something, and she was just swinging it back and forth.
Yeah,
And
there's
it looked
definitely some stuff to look forward to for that. Halo Infinite we saw a brief amount of too. Not really any gameplay, just like a video.
Yeah, just a video. And I actually wasn't even sure it was Halo at first because we saw a lot of like alien wildlife, which I mean, I've been off the series for a while. I've not played since four,
yeah.
but I don't remember any alien wildlife really being in the game. So I thought that was.
Yeah, you didn't really miss anything by 5. All the games that were showed off at E3 and talked about, that game never came out.
Oh yeah, I've heard about.
It was a completely different campaign, so. But yeah, Halo, I'm optimistic too. I think with a brand new engine, that means they're building it from the ground up, so it's gonna feel way different than any of the other ones that we've played. And hopefully it's for the better. I think it will be.
Yes. Now, why do you think it's called Halo Infinite instead of Halo 6?
That's a good question. I think there's 2 theories I have. I feel like Infinite would maybe imply that it's gonna have some sort of Xbox/PC crossplay in it. I also believe that it might be the last Halo they're doing for a while going forward, and they're just going to keep bringing updates to it. My other idea, my other school of thought on this is they want to distance themselves from Halo 5 and numbering the Halos. Because a lot of franchises, when they get up there in numbers, they kind of just abort the whole number thing and just go with something else.
That is true. That is true. Most series that even get this far probably usually reboot or like you said, don't really number them anymore. So
like look at Mario Party.
I guess we'll see.
Mario Party 10.
I still have the theory that it's a battle royale because everybody wants to get on the battle royale craze right now. But I guess we'll see.
I have my fingers crossed that that's not the direction Halo is going, and I really hope it's not. But oh well. Another cool thing too that I wanted to bring up before we got off of Xbox, since we're nearing the end of it here, in terms of their exclusives, was Gears of War 5 is not called Gears of War 5; it's called Gears 5.
Oh, really?
Yes. I don't know if you noticed that when they showed the title for the game. It's not Gears of War 5. It's not Gears of War anymore. It's just Gears 5.
So would that imply that the fighting is not?
Well, it implies that
I don't know.
I guess it implies that there's less of a war going on.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if it's going to be like a bio piece almost, too. But
yeah, I mean that's kind of what it seemed like it was going for.
Yeah.
So
They had a really good passing of the torch moment to the characters in the last game, and I'm curious if we're gonna. I'm curious I still see that some of the old cast is around, and I'm curious to see after they've had that passing of the torch moment, what they're still doing in the game. I assume they're probably gonna get killed off in this game too, at least a few of them. So, yeah. But other than
interesting,
other than the exclusives for and real quick, Forza, I almost forgot to talk about it. Horizon 4 looks pretty cool. Online drivers all the time, and
now are the hovercrafts new to the series? Because I don't think I've seen them in any trailers for the game before. But
so Horizon has like these really ridiculous showcases where you're in a car and you're racing either a plane, a blimp, like jets, or like a boat, and they haven't ever done a hovercraft before. There was one where they had a helicopter holding a really old like Jeep, and you had to like pass the Jeep and like beat it to, like they have like their giant, like every time you're like going to a new section of the game, you'll do what's called a showcase event as you like race towards that section of like the giant island that the game is stationed on. And you'll be racing some ludicrous obstacle like a plane, or like the stuff I said before.
Yeah.
And like it's designed so the plane has to take like a weird path, and you have like basically as close to a straight shot as you can with the roads on the island. So
okay.
It'll be that's probably one of the showcase events that they were showing us.
Oh, okay. It seems interesting.
I would welcome hovercrafts though. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Microsoft showed off some multi-platform games. What was your if I don't recall all the stuff they showed off, but I believe a new Devil May Cry was one of them, which I haven't played any of those yet, but it looks super interesting.
That game looks super cool. I have also never played a Devil May Cry game, but
that might change for me though.
That might change. Being someone who played a lot of Wonderful 101 in the pretty recently. I'm really looking for another action combo kind of game like that. And Devil May Cry 5 looks like it's really going to be the game that will be that for me. Yeah.
Now, did you play you played the Bayonetta series too, right?
I have actually not played the Bayonetta series.
Oh my lord, man.
I know.
And
I really
you
need
own
to
a
get
Wii
to
U.
that.
No excuse.
No, I know. I really need to. I really need to get on that.
Dude, honestly, you can just borrow it from me. If you don't want to buy it, just honestly, you can borrow mine, and I have both 1 and 2 on the Wii U, so you can just binge the crap out of it.
I really need to because I mean that's Platinum, but I mean they if I remember correctly, Platinum. Then maybe I'm completely making this up, but I want to say a lot of the Platinum people actually worked on Devil May Cry at one point in time. They also worked on Okami. So I think some of the people like
Anarchy Reigns.
Anarchy Reigns, no, exactly. So
one of my favorite series in there.
So no, I think they're the director is still there for Devil May Cry 5, but he said it's the best one so far. It's the best one he thinks he's ever made. And like I said, I probably won't know a thing or two about the story, but that game looks high-paced, high-action, and I'm kind of all about that.
They also showed off that looks impressive to me too. I will probably be picking that up. Maybe not at launch, but pretty shortly after.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, for sure.
Because
there's so much coming out in spring 2019. It's kind of ridiculous.
Spring is like, and this is going to be something we're going to talk about many times. Spring is like the new fall, I think, for this year.
Yes.
Because all the hype stuff that we thought that we were getting this fall, that doesn't begin until like end of January of next year. So like, there's going to be nothing to ask for Christmas this year for all the kids, which is kind of annoying. Well, other than Red Dead Redemption 2.
Well, but. and yeah, Red Dead and one other game that we'll touch on later, I'm sure.
Yeah, but CyberLife 2077 also was shown off at the end of Microsoft's press conference. They didn't have a traditional close; it was hijacked by a dev, and they put up their which I thought was actually with quotation fingers, hijacked by a dev.
Yes.
But honestly, though, with the style they did that, I thought that was a pretty cool way to end things.
It definitely is. And there's
that game
apparently
actually looks really interesting to me too.
It does, and I actually apparently, and once again, this is secondhand information. I've not seen it myself, but I've heard that there's a very specific point in the trailer where you can freeze it, and it's a letter from the devs. Kind of talking about their progress and saying that because they're the same people who made the Witcher series.
Yeah.
So they were saying how they just got done with the Witcher series and they're moving on to this project and they really don't have a lot yet, but they're really excited about it and they wanted to at least give everybody an update about what they've been doing and this new game, and like you said, it looks really cool.
It's for sure gonna be one of the hit games to come out in years to come. One of the brights they call it now. It's gonna be one of the top sellers towards the end of this generation.
No, definitely, because not a lot of those not a lot of open world games in general really have the future cyberpunk aesthetic. Most of them are like fantasy, like the Witcher series, or they're kind of more modern, like
dystopian. And here's the other thing I thought was interesting about technology running rampant in that world, where you see a lot of games that where technology has kind of like put a strain on the world with how much in everyday life it is. That didn't seem to be the case for the people in the short video they showed of that game. Everybody seemed to just use technology. It was everywhere in there, and they were just using it and not even batting an eye. So we have like almost there's two schools of thought. There's a Jules Vernean like end of the world, and then there's another one that I can't think of right now.
That's more utopian instead of dystopian.
It's more utopian instead of dystopian with technology, and this is the first like positive one that I've seen with technology in the future. Not like, oh, it's ruining everything, kind of like how you see in Detroit Become Human.
No, definitely, and like, there's very few games like it, especially ones that are an open world. I'm assuming third person action game because that's what The Witcher is.
Yeah.
So that'll when we get, once again, we didn't really get a lot of gameplay, but when we do get gameplay, I'll be interested to see what that's all about.
Yeah, definitely me too. Speaking of open world games, Dying Light 2 was also shown off.
Yes.
And the choices system in this game, I think, is the most interesting looking thing about it.
Yeah, they made a whole lot of big deal about this choice system and how they said just on this small little interaction, you can change the entire environment. And if what they're saying is accurate, then that'd be really cool. That seems like a lot of work, though. So I'm a little hesitant to take them at their word. But if that actually is what they can do, then that'll be really interesting. Because, I mean, the only games that really come close to doing stuff like that are like the Telltale games or like the David Cage kind of games where they're more narrative than actual, like, I guess, first-person shooter, kind of like the Dying Light series is. So.
Yeah. So moving forward,
if they're able to keep up their promises.
Moving forward too. So that was. We also got some Cuphead DLC shown off. And I don't lump that in with exclusives anymore because Steam has that as well.
Oh yeah.
But that looks pretty interesting too. We're getting another playable character, and I would assume we're getting more boss fights. They didn't really show much of that off. But all of that stuff's coming down the pipe. They didn't give a release date for that either. They just said 2019, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
A lot of things didn't get release dates this year. They're suffering from what I used to call in the past Sony syndrome, where you show a whole bunch of hype stuff all at once, but you forget to tell people when it's coming out or where they're going to end up playing it. It's after seeing stuff in past E3s where you see these. Like Microsoft was more of a problem for it when they didn't show a date for something. I get concerned because that's just telling me there's not for sure that it's going to come out.
Yeah, like Scalebound.
Yeah, Scalebound's still a heartbreak for me.
Yeah.
I'm still upset about that. It's over a year since it's happened, since it got canceled. But
yeah, it's unfortunate.
It is, and that was being made by Platinum Games, I believe, as well.
It was. It's funny because I've seen a lot of people saying how the main character from Devil May Cry 5, Nero, looks a lot like the main character from Scalebound.
Well, maybe we'll see some elements of Scalebound in it.
Very possibly. I mean, obviously it is by different people, but it could always be. Who knows?
And that about wraps it up for the things that are worth mentioning, at least to me, for Microsoft. Unless there's anything oh wait, no, there is one thing I missed. They showed off that super insane looking every single anime in one fighting game ever.
Oh yes, Jump Force.
Jump Force, that's it. Yes.
Jump Force, yes.
That is another
game without a trailer or without a release date. I actually saw gameplay footage of that later in the day, and
that's a 3D fighter, isn't it?
Yes, it is a 3D fighter, very much like those Naruto Shippuden games,
or the Dragon Ball Z,
Ball Z Xenoverse games, exactly.
Yeah.
But obviously, not all the characters can fly, so it'll be more ground combat than it will be air. But it's interesting. I think the weirdest part about the game is at the very end of the trailer, they show Light Yagami from Death Note. And I know you're not a big anime guy, but Light Yagami, his entire deal is that he has a book called The Death Note. And if he writes your name in the Death Note, then you die of a heart attack in 30 seconds.
So everybody's going to open the match by writing that shit in the book, and you're going to have 30 seconds to kill him.
Exactly. I don't know how they're going to work that into a fighting game. What would actually be kind of interesting is if, he did write the name in the book, and that the round turned to 30 seconds, and all you did was run away for 30 seconds, and you just had to have a key.
You'd have to be a defensive character. You'd have to be a zoning character.
No, I know, and that'd be. You know what? Like, I was a little hesitant at first, but now that we're talking about it, I'm kind of excited how the character works.
That's not a game that I'm going to be picking up at launch or for anywhere close to full price, just because of how much other stuff I have to look forward to probably around the time that it's going to be coming out. But that's something I know you're probably picking up, if not day one, at least as soon after as you can. So I'm definitely going to be playing that with you.
No, definitely. The one thing is, they tried to ask the director for more characters or any type of release date, and he just looked at them and said, "No, sorry." So,
we're too busy watching more animes to pad our DLC roster.
No, like, yeah. So we'll see what ends up happening with that.
I know, maybe 5 animes total, all together, grand total of 5, and I saw the guy from One Piece. I think his name's Monkey D. Luffy. It's been a while.
Yep.
Punch
right.
Frieza in the face from Dragon Ball Z, and I was like, well then.
Yep.
That escalated quickly.
And in the gameplay trailer that they showed later, you actually see Zoro from One Piece as well.
Okay, that's the 3-sword guy, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay. I was just making sure. That's
Yep. So that'll definitely be a game to keep our eye on. We'll probably once again see that again next E3 with some more gameplay and some more anime characters.
We just need
maybe at the Tokyo Game Show.
We just need some Yu Yu Hakusho and some Hikaru no Go, and then they're speaking my language.
That's okay. Okay, so you say that the lady who was interviewing the director, she knew her anime, and she looked at the guy and said, "Hey, so can we expect some Yu Yu Hakusho in there?" And he looks at her and makes a "oh no, she found out" face. And then immediately goes back into director mode and says, "Sorry, we can't tell you about that right now."
So that's
and it's so Yu Yu Hakusho basically confirmed.
I wonder if we'll get Rose Whip. They're taking a quick segue. I heard they're actually doing some sort of remastering of Yu Yu Hakusho. They're putting out more story to it or something. I saw something on that recently.
Oh, really? Because I know the guy who makes Yu Yu Hakusho. Or the lady, I forget exactly who makes it, but whoever is making it is currently in another series right now, and they've been taking a long time to finish that.
It's I think it's a movie though. It's not going to be like a whole nother season or another branch off series or a spinoff or anything like that.
Interesting.
So we'll have to see what ends up happening with that. So yeah, that's really all I've got for Microsoft's press conference. Moving forward, I think Bethesda was next.
Yes, Bethesda was next.
And I'm going to let you go ahead and take point on this one, because I didn't watch this one, I just read it.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to... So I saw it, but I'm going to have to admit that I don't really play any Bethesda games. I don't think I've ever even played a Bethesda game before. So it's hard to be excited for a lot of these games, but I will definitely go through the order of all of the games that were announced. So they started off the conference with a musical performance by Andrew WK.
Ooh.
And nobody in the audience seemed to know who Andrew WK was. And Andrew WK was not happy at that.
Video game players aren't really his target market.
Hey, I'm sure a lot of those kids who played Skyrim watched Destroy, Build, Destroy back in the day.
Yeah, probably.
Probably, but nobody knew who he was. He kept trying to hype people up, but he was on there because he created the music for the trailer in the new game Rage 2.
It was the exact opposite of when Mick Gordon came out and played the music to Doom and everybody lost their fucking minds.
No, exactly. Everybody was like, "Who?" And he's like, "Come on, get excited!" And then like you got some pity claps, and it was a little embarrassing.
Bethesda, take note. You have the best musical composer in the world right now for video games. If you ever let him go, you are idiots. You are all dumb. Mick Gordon is the most talented music guy out there for video games right now. I will defend that point, and you can try and prove me wrong in the comments, but I'm just telling you right now, you won't be able to. And yes, he's better than Martin O'Donnell before that gets up anybody pissed off. Sorry, continue.
All right. So Rage 2 I've never played Rage 1, so I can't really tell you much about what this game is.
Picked it up for $5. Haven't played it yet either, though.
Okay. Well, it is a post-apocalyptic first-person shooter.
Kind of like Metro.
Kind of like Metro.
And all these other ones.
It seems there was a lot of first-person, post-apocalyptic first-person shooter and third-person shooter games at this E3. There was actually more than Battle Royales, which I was surprised about. But anyways, so Rage 2 kind of has the aesthetic, and I'm sure Rage came out before Borderlands, so I'm sorry if I'm offending people, but it has a Borderlands kind of art style going on, where it's post-apocalyptic, but it's kind of wacky.
Well, I think Rage 1 does not predate Borderlands 1.
Does it not?
I don't think it does. I could be wrong.
I don't know a thing about Rage as a series, so I can't tell you. But there was a lot of colors going on. There was a lot of filters on the screen. At one point during the trailer, they cut away to the ad for the collector's edition, which I thought was a little weird. But it is a first-person shooter in a post-apocalyptic world. I can't really give much besides that, because I've not really played Rage. But I guess we'll see what that is when it actually comes out. I don't think there was a release date for that. But yeah.
They talked about Fallout 76, and it's basically entirely online, but can be played solo. So
yes, so it can be entirely online. Entirely online. I know that's kind of pissed a lot of Fallout fans off because they're kind of more in it for the story than for like a Rust kind of story, a Rust kind of gameplay. Yeah. And at least to me, the thing that makes me very hesitant about getting the game is you can go on raids with your friends and get nuclear detonation codes. And when you get enough, you can just nuke whatever area on the map you want. And since this is an online multiplayer game,
that's going to kill people doing story stuff.
That is going to kill people doing story stuff. That is going to destroy people's forts, because the entire main gimmick of this game now is making forts. And people's forts are going to be destroyed, and that game is going to have the most toxic community of...
They should just turn it into a Battle Royale game at this point. I mean, that's what it sounds like they wanted.
That's what they want, but with nukes.
They should just they should change it to, and they should change the name to Fallout 69, and then it's perfect.
Oh no, but it's 76 because of the bicentennial or whatever. But apparently, this is a prequel in the Fallout series. Apparently, this is the first Fallout shelter that opens up after the bombs. I don't really know what any of that means, but these are things that I have heard. And if you get the collector's edition, then you get a map that quote unquote glows in the fucking dark.
Ooh. Wow.
Quote by awesome. Todd Howard right there. I know.
That actually seems pretty hype. Didn't Zelda give away a map with one of their games?
Maybe, but it wasn't glow in the fucking dark.
Yeah, no, it definitely wasn't glow in the fucking dark.
And
it was like a cloth map, if I recall.
No, yeah. And you get the mask. You get the Fallout like helmet. that
Dude,
like
so
makes
yeah, all
sounds
you
and
guys
lights
that
up and
pre-ordered
stuff.
4 and got the little Pip-Boy thing for your iPhone or whatever, now you'll
Yeah,
have the mask too, and in a couple more releases, you'll have a full set of armor. And
exactly.
you just walk around setting off nukes left and right. It'll be a good time. That's how Fallout works, right?
You know what? Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, I have a couple friends that fucking be pissed at me right now for this, but yeah, I haven't. I tried playing Fallout 3 in 2013, and it was so dated I just couldn't. So I stopped about 20 minutes in.
Now, I've
Like,
heard New Vegas is the one you need to play.
this is where we're at.
But I've never played before, so once again, I don't know. But
Moving forward, things that we do know some stuff about. Well, that I know some stuff about. I'll cover a couple of things that I can talk briefly about.
Yeah.
Because I play a few Bethesda games, even though you'd never guess it from the last like 5 minutes of conversation. I play Doom and I play Wolfenstein. And there's a new Doom that looks pretty cool, and there's a Wolfenstein with something I wanted since the first game, co-op in their campaign. So
yeah, that'll definitely be cool.
Because Wolfenstein, while it's got a way better story to me than Doom, there's no. It's one of those games where you have to leave all your friends in the party and play on your own, because it's so story driven that you don't want to miss anything. If with them having a co-op version of it, it's going to kind of bend those lines a little bit, and we'll see how that goes. I'm hopeful for it, and they're also getting some VR entry. Wolfenstein is getting VR stuff, which I also think will be pretty sweet too. I might even have to change and start playing Wolfenstein on PlayStation. Who knows?
Who knows? No, it sounded interesting. I know a lot of people are still unclear as to whether it's an officially new game, it's DLC, or it's some kind of like budget title.
I think it's going to be kind of akin to. So they had a full game in the New Order, and then they released something called The Old Blood.
Yes.
I think it's The Old Blood was not as long as a New Order, but it was like only like 3 hours shorter than it roughly. Like it was if you play it on the second hardest difficulty like me, it takes you like 20-ish, maybe a little bit more to beat a game of Wolfenstein. 20-ish hours. And the standalone took me about 16 when I was playing on that, maybe a little less, maybe 15.
Okay.
So it's still longer than a Gears of War campaign. But it's not super long. It's not RPG levels of long.
Yeah. So that'll definitely, and that'll definitely be a lot of fun, like you said, as a co-op game. Yeah. So
we're getting.
I'm sure it'll be online co-op too, but they did not specify that specifically. So
I know very little about. I've played older Prey games. I haven't played newer ones. I know very little about the current state of Prey, but apparently that's also getting a VR entry and some moon-based DLC as well.
Yes,
that a lot of people are looking forward to.
And the thing that I was most excited for, they're adding a prop hunt mode. Because the whole thing, I don't know if you know this, but the whole thing about Prey is that like the aliens can turn into any object. So the entire world is filled with these little tiny movable objects, and you kind of have to shoot around at different objects because the aliens could attack you from anything. So they've implemented that into a multiplayer mode.
They have that in Call of Duty World War II. I've actually played Prop Hunt. It's actually a lot of fun, and you like blind the people when they find you, and you run away and disguise yourself as something else.
No, exactly. So Prey's getting a mode like that now too. So that'll be, like I said, I've not played Prey before, but if that is a standalone thing, just a multiplayer, I might have to get that because Prop Hunt is a great time.
One more thing that I do know about from Bethesda is Quake Champions is getting a free-to-play mode, and I play Quake Champions on PC.
Okay, do you? Because I remember them talking about that, and I never even knew it came out.
Yeah, it's been in early access mode for like forever.
Okay.
It's probably this might be. I like it a lot. It's an arena style shooter with skill based movement. There's like strafe jumping and stuff like that. It's like Gears of War is like kind of an arena style third person shooter. This is like this requires way more skill and concentration than something like Gears of War to be good at, and I suck at it, frankly. But I still love it. Like when I get in a lobby that's people worse than me, I have a grand time playing it.
I was also going to say, just seeing the little bit of gameplay they showed off, it does seem to be the maps seem to be a lot more vertical than a lot
Yes.
of modern
Yes,
shooters
they
maps
are.
are, and I do kind of appreciate that because I really miss the more vertical type battle
Combat, yeah.
arena, yeah,
And
combat.
that's a big thing with Quake Champions is you move at like ludicrously fast speeds. There's actually a character in the game that if you're moving over a certain like rate of speed, so you have to I think you can for him alone you can get to that speed by just running in a straight line. But other characters you have to like strafe jump to get to that speed. If he hits you while he's going over that speed, you take damage. And there's a certain threshold of speed that if he's moving faster, you just die immediately if he touches you.
Oh wow.
His name is Scalebearer.
Oh,
But
he's the lizard guy. He was in one of
no,
the trailers. Oh, no?
that's Sorlag is
Okay,
actually
see,
is
I know
the
nothing.
lizard girl you're thinking of. But he's this big like monstrous looking dude. But he's cool too. And then of course the only other thing that's Elder Scrolls is getting a fucking phone game. And then they also
yeah.
announced Elder Scrolls 6.
Yes, okay, so the phone game, they made a very big deal that you can either play it in portrait or you can either play it sideways or up and down. And people are like, why would you want to play an Elder Scrolls game one-handed? Todd Howard says you can drink your coffee while playing too. I don't know, fuck you. Um,
You can drink your coffee while playing too.
Yeah, so I also thought it was very funny because they made a whole joke about how Skyrim is on everything. So they're announcing Skyrim for the Amazon Echo and for your refrigerator. And it's like, okay, ha 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 ha. And then they said, oh yeah, by the way, we're making this Elder Scrolls phone game that's not only a phone game, but it'll be on every single console ever. And I'm like, oh, so it's the new Skyrim. I'm like, okay. But it is a phone game that is an Elder Scrolls game, so there's not really much really going on there. It looks like, but Elder Scrolls 6, I do know. Me personally, I never played an Elder Scrolls game, so when I just saw a title, I said, okay, whatever. But there were apparently a lot of people that were really excited because
Skyrim was forever ago.
Yeah, Skyrim was forever ago, and a lot of people were scared that it was just going to be Skyrim 2, and it wasn't, because apparently each Elder Scrolls game takes place in a different continent or
like
area
Morrowind,
of the world.
Oblivion,
No, exactly.
Skyrim. They're all
Exactly.
different areas.
So this is going to be hopefully a new world, but because there is no subtitle, we do not know what that world is yet. So then they said this game is years and years and years down the line. So we're probably getting it 2020 at the earliest.
Yeah, I'd agree. 2 years, probably even more.
Probably even more, because they also have another game they announced called Starfield, which was another logo of just space.
And we know literally next to nothing about it as well.
We know nothing. There was apparently a leak that someone said, oh yeah, this is like Elder Scrolls or Fallout, but in space. But that's a leak, and there's no gameplay or anything to go with that. So we'll have to wait till next year to see something.
Moving forward, that was pretty much all I had to say about Bethesda's conference. It was kind of very shallow, not too much to really dwell on for long. Moving forward, I think next was Square Enix.
Yes, Square Enix was next.
Which I watched a little bit of, but I didn't see much. I only really tuned into The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit, and I only tuned into Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I know other people were probably excited to see Just Cause 4, which I'm actually pretty hyped for. I'm surprised they let Microsoft break the existence of that game. They took a lot of stuff away from the independent developers too.
That was kind of the thing. Microsoft did really do a lot of that. A lot of the things that were at other conferences, or that would have been big things at other conferences.
Sony did it too, with a little bit with Kingdom Hearts as well.
A little bit, definitely. But Microsoft also did that as well. So it was a bit of both of them kind of. And it was interesting too, because so both Microsoft and Sony not only had different trailers, but showed two completely different worlds. And then Square Enix just kind of had a rehash of the Microsoft one, which was a little weird. The only difference really was a couple more extra scenes, and they added sound effects in a couple of parts that weren't in the Sony part. Because, I mean, I don't know if you really saw the Kingdom Hearts trailer, because I know you're not a big Kingdom Hearts person, but
That
there
might
were just
change
literal.
when this game comes out, though. It looks pretty hype.
You know,
I'm not gonna lie.
it does look pretty hype. But there were a lot of parts in the trailer where there were just no sound effects, except for the voice acting of Sora running, and that was a little weird.
Biggest thing for Square Enix on the table is obviously Kingdom Hearts 3. The game's been in development forever.
Yes, kind of. So, Kingdom Hearts 3 has a very crazy history going on with it. A lot of people thought they were making it immediately after Kingdom Hearts 2, but that's really not the case. And there were a lot of spin-off games that the director worked on. And then and not only was he doing that, but he was also working on Final Fantasy Versus 13 at the time, now Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
And near the end of it, realized that he needed to devote all of his time to Kingdom Hearts 3, and he did so about 2 or 3 years ago. So the game's probably been in development for actually about 5 to 6 years, if that.
That's still a really long time.
It still is a long
forever,
time, but you can definitely see that they've put a lot of work into it. Just comparing some of the cutscenes from those original trailers to this new one, they look so much better. It's they almost look like completely different games. The characters looked like really plasticky and not very realistic, but you look at them now and they look amazing. And you see some of the screenshot comparisons between, the Tangled worlds or the Frozen worlds to their respective movies, and the games look better in some cases, which is like unheard of.
Yeah, it's almost jarring, but I'm actually kind of looking forward to that constant removal and reinsertion of different art styles in the side of the same game. That's very ambitious, in my opinion.
No, exactly. And it's funny because they've tried to do that before in previous titles, but it's looked nowhere as good as it has here. So just for clarification, so everyone who hasn't seen it knows, they have announced that Frozen and Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End are going to be worlds in this Kingdom Hearts game.
And I saw the Pirates of the Caribbean thing, and I almost thought we were getting another Pirates of the Caribbean movie. I'm like, why is this at E3?
No, I know. It looks absolutely ridiculous. I wanted to compare it to that one Skull and Bones, that one boat game that was that Ubisoft showed that we'll be talking about later.
Yeah.
And
Next,
it was
actually,
just next actually, but it looks like an entirely different art style. And like I said, Pirates of the Caribbean has actually shown up in Kingdom Hearts before, but they did a very bad job at combining the art styles. So Sora just looks completely out of place in this live action. Yes, everywhere he is. But mostly so in the original Pirates world, because he's this cartoony looking kid sitting next to like realistic looking Johnny Depp. But they've done a much better job this time at integrating Sora, Donald, and Goofy into the world, where it doesn't look as jarring as it has in the past.
Now, I have to ask you a question about Kingdom Hearts 3. I assume they did this because these are huge budget games. I assume they did this in the past, but the one thing that I was kind of amazed at, and it really just knocked the socks off of my feet, if you will, is how much money they've shelled out for voice acting in this game to get the people who were actually in these movies. It seems like when they talked, like the person from Tangled sounds like the person who did the girl's voice in Tangled. Elsa is Elsa. I assume Johnny Depp is going to be Johnny Depp. Like that's got to be a lot of cash on the table for that.
Yes. So a lot of these characters are really good imitators. So like I know for sure that Johnny Depp Johnny Depp is not Johnny Depp. I do believe that Tangled Girl is. I've not seen Tangled, so I don't know her name. But Rapunzel, I think it's Rapunzel.
Yeah.
Rapunzel, I think, is the same voice actress. I know Olaf for sure is the same voice actor. I'm not sure about Elsa.
It sounded just like her.
That's the thing. They've either gotten the same, like, and that's what they've done in a lot of the Kingdom Hearts games too.
Well, that makes sense too from a financial standpoint.
No, yeah, they either get the same voice actor, or like, for instance,
somebody you'd never know isn't.
Yeah, so someone who's really close or has played them in other properties. So, like, for instance, Genie from Aladdin, because Aladdin is in both Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, is played by the guy who plays Genie in the cartoon show.
Okay.
And the and the Aladdin 2 and 3, the movies. So, and like Mike Wazowski is being played by the guy who plays Mike Wazowski in the Disney Affinity games.
That was the other one too. I had heard the guy that Mike sounded just like Mike to me as well.
No, he definitely did. He definitely did. But they
It's a different guy though.
It is definitely different, unfortunately. But it sounds like almost dead on.
Well, hey, good on them. They did even if they're not getting everybody the same. They did their homework. They fooled me. They fooled me.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, exactly.
So I'm already sold on it myself. Some other things from Square Enix too came up. Adventures of Captain Spirit. We saw a little bit more on that.
Yes.
Which that's going to be a free game later this month.
Yeah, they talked about it in that trailer, and they explained how this is not Life is Strange 2. They wanted to make that very clear. This is just a part of the universe of Life is Strange 2, and it'll somehow intersect with the story from Life is Strange 2. So I'm interested to see what that means and how that's actually going to play into the story. Because you know what? I actually kind of liked Life is Strange, but like, despite all of the hellas,
yeah.
I did like Life is Strange, and honestly, I liked Before the Storm too. I know a lot of people really didn't, but I was a fan of Before the Storm too. So I'm interested to see what they do with this universe.
Yeah, me too. There's some other stuff. I'm looking forward to Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I got the Rise of the Tomb Raider on sale during Black Friday a couple years back. I still haven't finished it. I know I need to, but
no, I know a lot of people who have.
It's basically.
But I've heard they're all great games.
If you like Uncharted, this is.
And we actually got to see a lot of gameplay at the Square Enix one too, which we really didn't at Microsoft's. So.
I didn't even see the footage myself. I just saw.
It's always great
was,
when we get to see some gameplay because a lot of these things end up being a lot more cinematic trailers than I like. I like to kind of see the gameplay to see how it's actually going.
And they never
play.
stress the engine too. Whenever they show actual gameplay, you ever notice how slow the person who's actually controlling the character walks and how they pan around and look at all the things instead of actually going towards the objective? Like they're like making sure that the game in its unplayable state that it's currently in has enough time to load the crap in front of it before they go venturing forward.
Yeah.
Is almost what it seems like they're doing. But Shadow of the Tomb Raider looks sweet. I liked the first one. I played the definitive edition when they gave that one away for free. And I bought the other one on sale. If I manage to beat that before this one comes out, I'll probably pick this up pretty close to launch.
Yeah. And then you can become the Tomb Raider for the third time.
No, I really can. I mean, this is honestly, like, I didn't play the old ones that much. I have some brief exposure to like the very old ones on like PlayStation 1, but
maybe this is the game we'll find out how she got her polygonal breasts.
I hope so. That's what everybody. They'd be answering the questions that everybody wants to ask.
Oh, exactly.
Final Fantasy 14 is getting an update. There's Dragon Quest 11 is going to be coming out.
No, I will say so. Real quick with the Final Fantasy 14, they are doing a crossover with Monster Hunter.
Ooh,
and
that's gonna. A lot of people are gonna probably come over to Final Fantasy now because Monster Hunter World is like one of the biggest games of the spring.
Yes, and there has also been some leaks that seem to suggest that the behemoth from Final Fantasy is actually going to be a monster that you can hunt in the new Monster Hunter game. So that'll be pretty exciting for people who play Monster Hunter as well. So,
other words, we got Babylon's Fall, which
yeah, so I was watching that with my eyes kind of glazing over because I thought this was like a game that already existed because they were going through like a timeline of this history. And then at the very end, it said developed by Platinum Games. And I was like, I'm interested now. Like, what is this? I've never heard of this before. But like I said, like, yeah, there was only a timeline of the history. There was no gameplay. There was really not anything except for that it's being developed by Platinum Games.
Yeah.
So Platinum makes some good stuff. I mean, like I said, there's Wonderful 101, and Nier Automata is one of the best games of last year. So I am excited to see what Platinum brings to us next.
Yeah, they've been really coming into their own recently.
Oh, for sure.
We saw Octopath Traveler, which is coming out later next month on the Switch, which is I think will be a good thing. I'm not going to pick it up because I'm currently so heavily invested in Xenoblades. I don't even think I have time for another RPG right now.
That's fair. That's fair.
But
they have also released a demo that you can start playing right now.
That your save data will carry over to the game once it comes out, which I think is a great way to push your game.
Yeah, and to really get people involved.
Yeah, and then they don't have to start over and play however much you put in the demo right when they get the game. They can just get back to where they left off. Which
is always the worst. So I'm really glad about that.
That looks like it's going to be a solid experience, and the Switch needs more. Switch needs more games that aren't just ports of Wii U games.
No, exactly.
And that's something that has been for. I bought the Switch the month after it came out, but other than Splatoon 2, which was pretty shallow, having played 1 as much as I did extensively, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I've been asking myself the entire year, why did I buy one of these? Like,
hey, there was Odyssey.
No, that's true. I'm sorry. That's fair. That's a fair point. Odyssey was great as well, but that's a game that I was like, that was a good experience, and I haven't 100% of that game yet, so there's technically still more content. But after I beat Bowser, I kind of fell off with it a little bit. I'll probably pick it back up at some point, but that was great. I didn't mean to forget that one.
Yeah.
It slipped my mind because I haven't touched it in forever.
That's fair.
Yeah, but like stuff like everything else, to me at least. I mean, Zelda fans had a great game, but you could argue that doesn't even count because it was also available on the Wii U. So
it is, and I was one of the few people that did play it on the Wii U. But it is optimized for the Switch, and it does run much better on the Switch.
Its most noticeable differences that I've read is just its sound, really.
I've seen gameplay of the Switch, and I played the Wii U version. There's a lot of loading stuff too, that it loads a lot quicker on the Switch, and draw distances are a lot farther on the Switch as well.
Not to mention the amount of space it takes up on the Wii U.
Oh, it takes up a lot.
So, if you don't have an external hard drive, that might be something you want for that game.
No, yeah, for sure.
We saw something called The Quiet Man, which I don't really know anything about.
I don't either. Once again, it from the trailer, it seemed like it was a fighting game or some kind of like Streets of Rage kind of style fighting game, or beat 'em up where you're deaf or blind. I think it was deaf because the sound in the trailer kind of like went out at one point. But I don't know. I don't know anything about that. That's the first time I've ever seen it. I don't even know. I'm assuming it's cross-platform because it was at the Square Enix conference, but I don't know.
And then that was other. I think there's something we missed. Oh yeah, Just Cause 4, which it just looks like a bigger and better Just Cause 3.
Exactly.
So fans of the Just Cause series will look forward to that. Moving forward, I think that's really all this much to talk about.
Yes.
Square Enix, they had surprisingly little to show considering how many things they have coming out.
That is accurate.
Next up was Ubisoft, which we had Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah, so that was interesting. We got another cinematic trailer, and then we got like 10 seconds of driving gameplay. Um, but they announced that this is going to finally be a prequel to the first game, and the main character from the first game is evil in this one, and that's interesting. I've not played Beyond Good and Evil 1, but I thought she was just a photographer. So I don't know how like an evil assassin turns into a photographer, but I guess we'll find out in this game.
I have played Beyond Good and Evil 1. I think they gave it away for Games with Gold, I want to say.
Okay.
It was either that or it was Games with Gold because it's not rare. It was either that or it was in Rare Replay. I played it on Xbox. I know that much. So
it was not on Rare Replay.
Yeah,
I know
'cause
that.
it's not
So
rare.
it must have been Gold.
Yeah. But no, it was a fun little game. I didn't get super far into it, but it was a good adventure game.
Yeah, but this seems a lot bigger scope than the first game. And the one cool thing, I don't know if you saw the conference or not for this part, but
I missed a lot of Ubisoft, and this is not one of the parts I looked at.
Yeah. So Joseph Gordon-Levitt came on stage and announced that he works for this company, and I forget exactly the name of the company, but what they do and what they're going to be doing for Beyond Good and Evil 2 is essentially taking fan-submitted things, either music or art or characters and all these kinds of things, and paying fans to put these things into the game.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and usually you only really do that with art, but I thought it was really interesting that they're taking musical compositions from people as well.
That is interesting. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, and like I said, they're paying fans to do this. So if you are a big Beyond Good and Evil 2 fan and you're an artist, definitely look into that, because I mean, if I was any of those things, I probably would be.
Hey, Mick Gordon, if you somehow ever listen to this, you might should make some music for this, because I'm sure you'd get your entire soundtrack in there as well.
No, for sure. It's really cool. And if it was for a game that I actually knew about, I would be like super excited for it.
Well, we'll have to see what that brings. I know you know way more about Ubisoft's press conference than I do. The only things I know a little bit about are I know very little about I know about the Assassin's Creed one because it was shown in other places, and I know about Division 2 and Trials.
Yeah, I could. So Trials was probably just that entire part of the Trials part of Ubisoft was the most cringeworthy part of E3, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't. Did you see that part?
I just know what Trials is. I haven't.
Okay. So the creator of Trials drove into the area on a motorcycle. Then he gets off the motorcycle, gets on stage, and then does a pratfall onto a screen that was showing Trials. And then goes, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." But wow. Trials is all about falling with style. And then starts talking about the new Trials game. Trials Rising. Yes, Trials Rising. And then they have a guy who's apparently a professional Trials YouTuber come up on stage and say that he is working with the game to make it better. I've never seen the guy before, and I don't really know what any of that means.
I'm sure Justin knows who he is, because Justin's super into it. But
okay. But they have included fans in the making of Trials Rising, which, I mean, that's cool. I mean, I really like the idea of involving fans.
I mean, it's probably, in my opinion, it's a genius from a business standpoint. How can you guarantee your clients are going to like the product that you're selling? Well, ask them what they want to see.
Exactly.
And when you there's certain series where you should not do that. Gears of War number is probably the biggest example, but because if it was up to Gears of War fans, the only gun in the game would be a shotgun. But yeah, and then they'd take that out and it'd be a fighting game, and we'd see it at Evo the following year. But no, that's good that they're talking with both Beyond Good and Evil and Trials. They're doing that with the fan. They're working with the fans.
No, exactly.
I'm not even going to talk about the Division 2.
I don't really have much.
It gets free DLC and raids, so that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah,
but
and it had some of that gamer speak that we all know and love.
Yep.
I think my favorite part is I was in a Discord stream with a couple of people, and I think at one point the guy was like, "You saved me. I'd rather just die." And someone in chat just wrote "me IRL" right after that line was said. So yeah, Division 2. I've heard people who say they played the Division 1. Looks like it's more of the same. So if you like the Division 1, then you'll like the Division 2.
Yep.
Another really cool thing that they showed was Starlink. Now, I don't think Ubisoft has actually showed Starlink on stage before. It's just been at Nintendo Directs previously. But
Yes.
This is a game where it's kind of like the Skylanders technology, where you can put the toy onto your controller and then you are controlling that ship. So you can like customize and put different guns on the ship, and then those guns will be on your ship in the game. So it is it's essentially a space shooter game, kind of like Star Fox.
Yep.
And
Star Fox
is actually going to be in the game. Yeah, for the Switch version, they are going to release little tiny R-wing ships as toys, and put Star Fox in the game. And it actually seems like he has like story relevance as well, because there was like parts of the trailer where they showed Fox talking to the main characters of this game. So that'll be interesting. That seems like if you're going to buy that game, you get it on the Switch.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Moving forward, there's some Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle Donkey Kong DLC coming out.
Yes.
Which you'll probably be picking up because
that game was great. That game was great. I really like strategy games like that, and I had heard good things about the Rabbids game, but I was like, I don't know, it's Rabbids. But I gave it a shot, and it is amazing. It is a really fun game. Every character is actually pretty unique, and it is essentially Babby's first XCOM, without any of the really frustrating percentages that are in XCOM.
Awesome.
So it's really fun, and with this new DLC, they are making it at least in a gameplay wise completely standalone, where you can only play as Rabid Princess Peach, Donkey Kong, who will be entirely new, and Cranky Rabbid, who is also going to be a new character just for this DLC. I'm really looking forward to trying that out, because I really like that. That was one of my favorite games of last year. So more of a good thing is not bad.
I agree. I have not played it yet, but you've given me your seal of approval, and oftentimes when you okay something, I generally end up liking it too.
Yeah. Oh, and also real quick, Grant Kirkhope himself, one of the original composers from Rare, was actually asked to do the music for this game. And I don't know if I've told you this, but you can definitely tell that Grant Kirkhope made this game soundtrack. It's got the like the Banjo Kazooie / Donkey Kong 64 like vibes going to it.
Yeah. I love Rare. Everything they do is great.
It's great. But they actually they had Grant Kirkhope go on stage and actually perform have some of his music play during this part of the conference. And it was actually really cool because I don't know how legally they were able to do this, maybe because it's on the Switch, but they were able to play medleys of songs from Donkey Kong 64. In particular, the DK rap was played a little bit at one point,
That's awesome.
as well as the overworld theme from Donkey Kong 64. So,
That's pretty cool.
fans of Donkey Kong 64 series are gonna get a lot of the music that they really liked in this DLC. What it seems like, and I am one of those people, so I am looking forward to even that part of the game. So,
Well, there's not much left from here. There's a game that is basically going to end up being Sea of Thieves. It looks like I can't really. The art style is a little bit different, but other than that, it looks like the same type of game with a more realistic art style, less cartoony looking, called Skull and Bones.
yes, yes.
Don't really know much more about it other than it's.
Well, they apparently they mentioned it a bit last year. Is that a lot of people really liked the Assassin's Creed boat stuff so much that they turned it into its own game, and that's what Skull and Bones is. And if you like ship combat, this looks like it's going to be the game for you.
We already talked about Starlink. The only thing else really to talk about is Assassin's Creed and For Honor Breach. For Honor Breach.
Yeah.
It's a huge. I'm kind of surprised that you didn't get into For Honor, but because it's a lot of it's hand-to-hand combat.
It kind of just fell into a point where I was just way too busy with a whole bunch of other stuff, so I never really got to play.
They're giving it out for free this week on PC.
Yeah. No, I know.
I doubt your computer can run it, but you know,
this is what I was just about to say.
You don't need you don't need any sort of subscription though, so you can just accept it now, and then if you ever get one down the line, like, there you go. But that looks pretty insane.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about For Honor myself. I have a few friends who play it, but I have next to no experience with the game myself, other than just living vicariously through them.
Yeah.
And then Assassin's Creed. There's an Assassin's Creed game coming out. It's standard fare for Assassin's Creed.
I will say that the if I did play this game, the guy seems like nothing bland nothingness, and the girl character actually seems pretty interesting. And
agree.
I will say that if I were to get that game, I would play as her, and just I don't know, it seems interesting. It does. I do really like that they are doing Greece. Greece is obviously something new to the series, and I do really like the aesthetic. And I've never given an Assassin's Creed game a try before, but I might for this one. We'll see.
Well, if you get an Xbox, you can wait about 2 to 3 years. You'll get it for free. Because
I'm sure.
I think I think we have roughly 60 to 70% of all the Assassin's Creed games that have come out have been given away for free with Games with Gold at some point.
Oh wow.
And I'm sure quite a few have been given away on PlayStation with PS Plus, but I haven't had PlayStation Plus as often or as much as I've had Gold, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Then that's really all the
yeah.
That's really all
Well,
there is to
not a lot
talk
of
about here.
Ubisoft. There was also Just Dance, but
I mean, yeah. And Rainbow Six
There's always
Siege
Just
is now played by 35 million people. Still not as many as CS:GO, but you know.
And apparently they're adding new maps and new characters, and that's all cool.
Yep.
I've heard good things.
Well, moving forward, that's it for Ubisoft. We're down to, I want to say, the last couple of ones, and I don't actually need to look up much for these guys because I watched these.
Mm-hmm.
So Sony happened on Monday. They leaned very, very heavily into their already announced exclusives.
Yes.
And showed us a couple of things that I'm not even sure of what I was looking at.
Well, you know the first one for sure.
I actually missed the very first. Was that The Last of Us?
Oh, you missed The Last of Us too?
Well, no, I saw the end part of it. I didn't come in. I was busy,
Okay.
and then I was like, oh crap, E3's going on. I have to drop everything and go
Oh
and watch.
man, so you missed the Banjo Man.
I did miss the Banjo Man, but
Yeah.
I saw.
So they started off the conference in a really weird venue.
Yeah, it was some weird giant super long screen.
Yeah,
It looks
yeah.
like five. It was like probably if you had a setup equivalent of it, it'd be like 5 computer screens.
No, exactly,
You'd have one
exactly.
in the
And
middle.
I've heard, I've heard a lot of people in the back of that venue could not see anything, but we find out later that the venue looks like this because it's the area that Ellie and this girl are like dancing and making out in for The Last of Us 2. And
Oh.
it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. Um, and then they didn't do that for any of the rest of the games. Which I was like, if Sony's not going to really do a lot this year, they could at least do something cool where like
They
all
had
of the
like
venues.
a real Ellie and girl kissing on stage. No, just kidding.
That or actually had different venues for every single one of their games, at least their top 4. That would have been a little more interesting. But anyways, it was still cool that we got this venue for the game, and we got to see a bit about the gameplay. Now, did you get to watch the actual gameplay?
Yeah,
portion?
the gameplay looks amazing. It looks way better than the first one in my opinion.
It's kind of crazy. It was honestly hard for me to tell whether it was actual gameplay or if it was cinematic.
And all this is going to be running on a PS4 Pro. What they're showing at the.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. But like seeing like the lady when she gets shot in the face, actual like bullet mark on her face, or like you see the guy at the end of the trailer when he's getting hit by arrows, his face gets more and more contorted every single time Ellie shoots him.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, if they're actually able to keep that up in game, that'll be crazy.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. They showed off a game. They had a long trailer of this game called Ghost of Tsushima.
Yes,
or wait,
Ghost
no,
of Tsushima.
that's not the one I'm thinking of. It was a different.
Oh, no?
Was it
Oh,
a
you're
different-
thinking about Death Stranding, probably.
No. There's
No?
wait, no, that was the samurai game, right?
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima was the samurai game.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima.
So that was the most beautiful looking graphic game. Like that game was stunning in how it looked. I felt like, and it might have been just me, because I feel like a lot of people haven't really said this, but I felt like the gameplay itself looked a little stiff.
The game doesn't look. The game, I'm a bit cautious about the game. It kind of reminded me a little bit of The Witcher, just watching it being played. But it also had more of a stealth aspect to it as well. At the same time, it looked like. It looks like a samurai, like if you want an in-depth samurai fighting game that's not like just mostly online based and it's actually like it's campaign stuff, like this looks like the game for you.
No, definitely.
It's being developed by Sucker Punch, who more notably made in the Infamous series.
Yes.
Which I'm kind of torn. I'm kind of excited because Sucker Punch is a great developer, but at the same time, it's been a really long time since we've had an Infamous game. And I'm kind of wondering if we're ever going to get to find out what happens to Delsin or not.
Well, and that's the thing, because they're known for Infamous, and Infamous is a lot of like superpower stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not playing
it.
It
Looks
nothing
nothing like their previous games, so
I know.
I'm very concerned, but also optimistic that they'll meet the challenge correctly.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, do you think there's going to be superpowers in this game? Because it seems like it's going for a more realistic thing. So I don't know. At least for me, I don't know. But what do you think, since you have more experience with Sucker Punch?
Well, I think for a long time I thought the Infamous games were just like kind of more blander versions of prototypes, but I changed my mind once I played Second Son. I thought Second Son was the best of those like style of games. Because there were way more powers, there were way more abilities. Like the one thing I didn't like about Infamous is you were kind of limited to just electricity in the first and second games, and it's not really easy to resonate with Cole. He's just kind of an asshole. But you could argue the same thing about Prototype. The protagonists of Prototype were both assholes too. So you didn't really have much empathy for the situations they were finding themselves in. Mostly, like you like crowd. Like I remember specifically, we're getting a little bit off topic here. There's one point in the game of Prototype 1 where you crowd surf on a guy and kick his head off, and the guy's like, "Wow, I can't believe what I just did." And you're like, "Wow, dude. Okay, well, you're a psychopath." Like, But if I thought Infamous when they had once they added the "Are you a good guy or a bad guy" like whole thing in it, I thought that helped move the game along a lot better. So I liked Infamous 2, and I liked Second Son way more than the first entry in the franchise. I think that with Ghost of Tsushima, there should be. I feel like there should be some sort of choice system in it to where you can be bad or good, because that would kind of help tie it into like what type of stories they're used to telling with the later Infamous entries. But at the same time, if they don't do that and they just go for a longer narrative, I think they could also handle that well enough too. Just make your protagonist likable. That's the one advice I can give to Sucker Punch is don't alienate your protagonist and your fans. Otherwise, it'll be if you want a good story driven game, you're gonna have a hard time. You're gonna have a hard time, reaching the people you want to reach with that.
Mm-hmm. For sure, I definitely agree.
It's like getting a roommate in college. You have to room with somebody you like, and you're basically rooming with the protagonist because that's who you're stuck with the entire game.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't like them, you're gonna try and get a room change.
Now, moving forward in the Sony press conference, we had a third-person game from Remedy called Control. I don't think you played Alan Wake, and I know you didn't play Quantum Break.
I've not played either of those two.
But both of those games were masterpieces, in my opinion. Especially, I really loved Alan Wake. Could not recommend either of those games enough. And I was watching them like, this looks like Quantum Break, but for PlayStation. And then it said it was made by Remedy. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pick that up day one.
Yeah. No, that's what I heard from a lot of people. Is it just looks like Quantum Break, but for PlayStation.
But there looks to be. It looks like it actually might be moving. If it's in the same universe, that would be cool. No. However, if it is in the same universe, well, they didn't say that this is going to be an exclusive though either. That's the other thing, and I'm kind of hoping that it won't be, because if you make an exclusive game, you're going to end up. If you make a game that's exclusive and it is in the same world as Alan Wake, that sucks for gamers. And I'll tell you why. Because everybody who played Quantum Break either played it on their computer, they played it on Xbox. If you make this a PlayStation exclusive, nobody who played the first one is going to be playing this unless they have both an Xbox and a PlayStation, or both a computer, a gaming PC, and a PlayStation. So everybody who's already invested in the series will just not be there. And Remedy has had a long time partnership with Microsoft. And I thought it was very interesting to see them finally break that showing a game off at Sony, which while it didn't say exclusive, it at least is going to be on Sony consoles for sure. That's a guarantee. Yeah. Which I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think that I hope it's not a switching of exclusivity, and I hope it's we're now working with everybody sort of deal, because the Remedy games are so good, they're so rich in their story. And to limit that to only one platform, be it Microsoft, Nintendo, or Sony's, I think is harsh. I think they need to be able to put their games out to more people, because Remedy is a great studio, and if they had more, if they made multiplats, they could get huge, in my opinion. They could be as big as Naughty Dog. They could be as big as actually they could be bigger than a lot of these behemoths that develop first party games for consoles right now. We got to look at the Resident Evil 2 remaster. That's going to be coming out early January. I got into Resident Evil at Resident Evil 4, and I tried playing earlier entries in the franchise, but some of them too, most notably, was just too dated for me to be able to get through.
That's the biggest thing. So apparently a lot of people have known about this game for a while, but people are still unsure at this point whether it is an actual remake of Resident Evil 2 with the tank controls and all, or if they're going to try and modernize it a bit and make it like Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
And we're still not really quite sure on that just yet.
We had another look at Kingdom Hearts 3. They showed the Pirates of the Caribbean world like we talked about earlier in the podcast, so there's not really much of a reason to...
Yeah, and a couple other minute details, but they're really minute, that are only really for fans. So since you're not really into that, we'll just kind of skip that for right now.
We got to look at Death Stranding, and it actually looks worse than it had in the past.
Hey, it is a pizza delivery simulator.
I really liked Kojima's work with Metal Gear Solids 1 through 4. And this is starting to. And then I thought Metal Gear Solid 5. The entire time I've been trying to figure it out for a long time. Whose fault is Metal Gear Solid 5? Because that game is not the 10 out of 10 that IGN gave it, or whoever. A lot of people gave that game glowing reviews, and I still cannot finish it. And I binged the other Metal Gear Solid games and loved them. This game, it's like a chore to pick up. Death Stranding, I still have no idea what this game is about, and they showed us a good solid, I want to say somewhere between 10-15 minutes of some dude just walking around in like random environments, carrying some like hovercraft pulley dolly thing with boxes on it.
He's delivering pizza in the post-apocalypse.
And I think Kojima really missed his mark with what he wanted to show us with this.
Hey. You aren't excited for the baby battery?
No. It just looks weird. Like,
it looks very strange. I won't disagree with you there.
I have high hopes that he'll get his shit together before the next E3 and show us what it actually is going to be about.
Well, here's the thing. At one point in the trailer, Norman Reedus, the main character, he picked up a gun. And I'm like, oh, okay, so we're going to see gameplay now. And then they immediately cut off the gun to show more walking. I'm like, okay. Okay, no guns.
There's so much exploration, but nothing actually happening in the world. It's almost as if it's kind of like, I don't even want to compare it because it's not a fair comparison. I feel like I'm insulting the other game. It kind of reminded me a little bit of ReCore, but instead of stuff happening in the environment, nothing is going on. You're just walking around exploring things.
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, this is, I think, the third E3 that this game has shown up in. This is the first time we've gotten gameplay, and we still don't have a date. So,
and it's very clear that we don't need one anytime soon if this is what it looks like. We could play this on PlayStation 6 before it's ready. Neo 2 was shown off.
Neo 2, yeah. Okay, so we also didn't talk about this during the Microsoft conference, but there was also Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, which is the other samurai third-person game.
Yeah, it's starting to become a popular little genre, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. So there's Ghost of Tsushima, there's Neo 2, and then there's Sekiro. And I think it's funny because Sekiro is made by the people who made Dark Souls.
Yes.
And Neo is a Dark Souls clone.
And that's actually an exclusive. The one that you just mentioned. I completely forgot about that.
Oh, I didn't realize that was a exclusive.
I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah.
What? Okay,
I think it is. I can check real quick.
But yeah, so Sekiro was made by FromSoft, who made Dark Souls. Neo is a Dark Souls clone that's set in samurai times, and now From Software is making a samurai game, a Dark Souls game in samurai times. To be fair, it does look a lot faster than most Dark Souls games, but it's crazy how many of these Dark Soul-like samurai games we are getting now, and maybe that will be the new genre.
I think it's no. Okay, it's not. I'm sorry. It is. It is multi-plat. My bad.
Okay.
But yes, we have. There's a lot of cool looking samurai shit coming out. To summarize it.
Yes,
really,
a lot of samurai stuff.
And it's not. And they don't. And amazingly enough, they don't all look like the exact same game either.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Moving forward a little bit, Spider-Man was showed off the third time at E3.
Yeah.
Sony's kind of turning into Shane in Mrs. Fowle's class. Every single show and tell they show off Ultraman. But for Sony, it's Spider-Man.
That's true. Apparently the game is coming out in a couple of months though. So
yes, now at the press conference we didn't get a date, but it actually does have a date.
Yes.
I don't know why they didn't show the date after the trailer, but
I don't know either. But yeah, we have a date.
Sony syndrome, man. I'm telling you.
It is September 7th.
Yep.
Um,
Of this year.
so
And that is the big exclusive game that is coming out for PlayStation this fall. If I'm not wrong, the only big budget exclusive that is coming out for PlayStation this fall.
I think you are correct. Yeah, because everything else is coming out next year or doesn't have a date yet.
Yep.
And it does look fun. It does look very similar to the Batman Arkham games, and I do like the first two Batman Arkham games. So it'll be. I'm hesitantly optimistic about this Spider-Man game, but this has been the third time we've seen it at E3. So I kind of, at least I was a little tired of it at this point. Seeing Negative Man was interesting, and I had to look up what his powers were immediately because I'm like, how is he a supervillain? He apparently just has generic superpowers. He like shoots lasers. He can fly. He has super strong. Like, I was hoping for a bit more than that, but it looks interesting. Like I said, it's like a Batman Arkham for Spider-Man, and it's coming out in a couple months.
Yeah. And it actually this game's had a really weird E3 history. At first, it just looked like an open world game like the old ones. Then it looked like kind of a generic beat 'em up in an open world game. And now it looks like there's systems in it like Arkham Asylum in those games. And I think every single time I've seen it, I felt a little bit more optimistic about it. But because for a very long time, I was concerned that it was going to be just another like black and white generic beat 'em up game, and if just with Spider-Man slapped on it, and that was the craze. It was a superhero game. But it actually looks like there's going to be some systems in it that look pretty good. So I'm actually now kind of looking forward to it as well. I probably still won't pick it up on launch, just for financial reasons for me. But it's a game that I would look forward to playing down the line once it drops to like 40 or 30.
Yeah. And hopefully this is the last time we see it at E3. But who knows? There could always be DLC.
Fingers crossed. There's some PSVR stuff coming out. PlayStation VR also had a price drop during E3 as well.
No, did it?
I think it's $200 now for certain bundles. So
no,
it's
the one thing
pretty affordable.
That's cool. No, the one thing they really didn't focus it on it a lot. They showed it for like 5 seconds, but the VR game Beat Saber looks really
which
cool.
is basically like Guitar Hero but for VR.
Yeah, and like that. I don't have PlayStation VR, and I'm probably not going to get anytime soon. But when I do, that'll probably be the first game I get because that game just looks awesome.
There was also this beautiful looking Tetris game or something. It was some like puzzle game in VR.
Yeah, it is a Tetris game.
There's some beautiful looking VR stuff coming out, which I actually might pick up. We had some brief mention of Black Ops 4, which I mean, I guess it's not going to have a campaign, so to be fair, nobody gives a crap about the campaigns.
Hey,
but
well, apparently they are adding a battle royale mode, and I will say the one cool thing about the battle royale mode this time is that
all the campers can go there.
Well, each section of the overall map is a different map from Black Ops. So they're essentially going to mush all of the different multiplayer maps together into one giant map.
That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah. So like, there's actually a bit more there than just generic battle royale. So
and the funny thing is, too, I actually have stopped buying. I game share with somebody who loves Call of Duty, so I don't have to buy them anymore. I don't really. I haven't really been playing them that much, though, to be honest with you. And he's pretty excited for Black Ops 4, so I don't even have to buy this game. I'm just gonna get to play it for free. But yeah. So I'll let you know what I think of it.
Look forward for that battle royale.
Yeah, I might actually give battle royale another chance. But that was basically it for Sony. I think for me the highlight was Control from Remedy. I know we know next to nothing about it, but I saw Remedy and I'm kind of a Remedy fanboy, but I have good reason to be one.
Super into Kingdom Hearts. More Kingdom Hearts is always good for me. So that was the hypest part for me of that conference. But anyways,
moving on to our final to our final one, and my personal favorite from this year's E3, Nintendo.
Nintendo, yes.
Now, Nintendo didn't present at E3. They had a small little, well, not really small, but they had a Nintendo Live event.
Yes.
Where which I will talk about the bad first for me. They didn't show off Metroid Prime 4, and they didn't show off Bayonetta 3. Those were two things that hit below the belt for me.
I would agree. I will say at the very least with Metroid Prime 4, all we got was a logo last year, so I can't imagine it being that far into development.
No. But this has been a full calendar year though since then.
It has been. That is true. I won't deny that.
So the engine is defined, and they've at least started it. We got no details.
But I can almost guarantee you that Metroid Prime 4 is going to be the big game of next year's Nintendo E3.
I hope so. I really hope so.
So that'll be the Smash of this year, I'm sure.
Yeah. We'll talk about Smash last, just to get through everything else first. Should we start? I'm not gonna go in order for this. I'm gonna kind of jump around.
Yeah.
We saw Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu, which apparently are gonna have a whole bunch of which is not the main Pokemon game that's being developed.
No,
but it's a side game. But it still looks pretty cool because it looks kind of like a Game Boy version of Pokemon, but for Switch. And,
yes, it is a
full compatibility with Pokemon Go.
Yes. So this is going to be like a hybrid between a Pokemon Go game and a regular mainline Pokemon game.
Now, I don't play a lot of the Pokemons myself, but I know you have.
Yes, I have. I did not really get into Pokemon Go a lot, and this game seems to be going more of the Pokemon Go approach, where you don't really fight the Pokemon, you just kind of catch them. There is battling in the game, but it's mostly against trainers, and you don't fight wild Pokemon, which is always, it seems strange to me. But they're apparently trying to, like I said, streamline the process for those Go players who haven't really played a Pokemon game in a long time and get them reacquainted to the systems so they can hopefully get the new Pokemon game that will be coming out apparently next year.
Now, 2 questions for you. One, do you think that the upcoming Pokemon game is gonna have Pokemon Go functionality?
Compatibility?
Yeah.
So with the new Pokemon game, it'll be interesting because I like I said, I don't play Pokemon Go, but from what I know, they are only on Generation 3 of those Pokemon. And if there is a new generation of Pokemon, they would have to introduce those Pokemon into Pokemon Go in order for that to have functionality. I would think so because of how popular Pokemon Go at least was. I don't know if still is, but
well, I know we both know a couple of people who still play it. Phil and his
sure.
soon-to-be wife, Tori.
For sure. No, Peter does as well. But
wow.
no, I know people who still play it, and I know they're very excited for this new Pokemon game. But I'm kind of all Pokemon'd out for right now.
A good chunk of their audience did fall off after the first year, but there's still quite a few people who go out and hunt Pokemon.
No, exactly, and this will be a really cool thing for them because they'll be able to bring their Pokemon that they've caught and Go and put them into an actual game that has an actual fighting system in it. So that's really cool.
Yeah, we have some Splatoon content that actually surprisingly came out the day after.
I was gonna say was that talked about at the conference? I don't even know about that.
They just said when it launches, and they crossed off July and said the very next day. So it came out the day afterwards. So I haven't picked it up myself.
Oh, is that Octopass?
Yep.
Expansion? Oh wow.
That's out now, and I actually just remembered that today. So I have some DLC to pick up. I just blew all my money on the Xenoblade 2 DLC. So,
Oh.
but I'll get it sooner or later. But yeah, there's it's fine. I still haven't finished the campaign to Splatoon 2. I've been playing the multiplayer anytime I play it, so I don't need to get it immediately. But that looks pretty sweet.
Speaking of Xenoblade 2, it got DLC announced, didn't it?
Well, that had been announced that we were getting. They had announced that we were getting some story DLC, but they didn't announce what it was. And at this E3, we got information on what the DLC is actually going to be. Which I'm actually at the part of the game where they're talking about so Xenoblade 2. Just a quick. I'm not going to give away much. There's a whole bunch of Titans that float around in the Cloud Sea, and that's what people live on.
Okay.
They live on the Titans. And I'm at the part of the game where they're talking about a Titan that died a while back called Torna. And all the people from Torna moved off of Torna and moved on to Genbu, which is a different Titan that's similar to Torna in certain ways, but it's got poor circulation, so they can't grow any of their food. And all these people are like living in poverty basically because they only can buy food on the black market basically. So it's a scalper's market for selling rations and stuff like that. So it's a really hostile, really crappy environment to be in. But Torna is where all these people came from, and we're going to be able to. I was thinking that maybe at some point during the thing I'll go down to where Torna died or whatever. But apparently it's coming in I haven't gotten to the end of the game, but it's coming in a DLC thing that we're actually going to get to be on the Titan of Torna, and there's going to be stuff to do with Torna and other Titans as well as that come into contact with Torna as it moves around the Cloud Sea. So there's going to be there's quite a few hours of content that are coming in that I'm also looking forward to, and I'm not even at the end of the game yet. So I might find out more stuff about Torna that I don't even know right now. But I'm actually now like my primary focus is now on Xenoblade 2.
And it's coming out in September, so you got time.
Yeah, I do have time. It's only June right now, so I still got 2 full months before it, and a half before it comes out. So I will probably be done with the game by the time it comes out, thankfully, so I can just jump right in right when it comes out. But time will tell. That looks pretty sweet to me, though. I'm really excited as Xenoblades. As somebody who just got converted to Xenoblades really late in the game, I'm now chewing them all up, and I need to get to the end of this one so I can start playing the one on the Wii U. I'm playing them out of order, but it just looked so beautiful and so good, and it was getting such glowing reviews that I had to just table the Wii U one for now because I was already super late to that one too. I'm like, let me actually play one while it's current, and then I'll go back and play the Wii U one. Which also apparently is also coming to the Switch, so even less of a reason to own a Wii U.
Oh, cool.
Shame on us.
I know,
the next hypest thing. Well, we'll just knock both of these out of the way. Hollow Knight came out for Switch.
Nice.
It looked pretty cool, but I don't know too much about it.
Yeah,
it looks like
I own it. I've only played like 45 minutes to an hour of it so far. It's a pretty challenging Metroidvania type of game. You might actually like it. Kind of difficult though.
It looked pretty cool from what I saw. And then Fortnite came to Cancer came to Nintendo with Fortnite.
Oh, have you heard about the big controversy with it?
No, I haven't. I have played one match though. I've played one match of Fortnite on Switch.
Do you have a Sony account for Fortnite?
I think the first one I played it on was Microsoft.
Okay.
So I have a Microsoft account for it.
Apparently, so you know the game is cross-platform where anyone can play against anybody on any other console.
I did not know that.
Okay, so yeah,
so
you can
I
play
am
against
playing
people on the Xbox
so I am
One,
playing
the PC, but not Sony.
Because
for some reason Sony does not want to be a part of this cross-platform thing, and its cross-platform is so strong that people who have made accounts on the Sony version of Fortnite are now able to access their accounts on the Switch version.
That's right. And I have 2 accounts because I couldn't remember my login information. I was just going to play it quickly. So I actually have separate accounts from Microsoft and my Switch version.
Oh, okay. Well, so those would work. You could have your Microsoft account with your Switch account, but you could not do Sony. Because apparently Sony just doesn't do anything cross-platform.
That's true because everybody else is playing Rocket League together right now. The first game to become cross-platform in terms of not just Microsoft like Xbox to PC, but PC to PlayStation can play together. PC and Xbox can play together, and Xbox and Nintendo and PC and Nintendo can all play together. But Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo and PlayStation will not play together on Rocket League.
Well, it's the same exact thing with Fortnite, and people are pissed.
And it sounds like something that you'd come to expect from Microsoft in the past, you know? And it's really surprising that Sony is the culprit behind this.
Yeah, no, I was very surprised too. They apparently put out a press release where they kind of said sorry, but that's what we do, and are not planning to fix it anytime soon. So it's kind of crazy.
We have another big name franchise announced getting a game for the Switch. Fire Emblem, Three Houses is the game, or as I'm going to call it, the Three Waifus. Because I mentioned three different houses that you have a different waifu in each one.
This game looks a lot less waifu-y than the last two.
And I have no room to complain. I'm playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 right now. So
yeah, with the boob sword lady.
Yeah, the tit sword.
The tit sword. But no, Three Houses. They didn't really show a lot, but the couple of things that they have shown that are new to the series that actually seem kind of interesting is that each character will have like a platoon behind them, and you can like do different formations with your platoon to do different kinds of attacks to enemies. Like I said, we don't really have a lot there, but that seems really cool. And like I said, this game does seem a lot less waifu-y than the other ones. And while I was fine with Awakening, with the newest one, I forget it. I own them, but I'm forgetting the name of them right now. It got too much. I don't know if I told you, but I was playing that on like the bus to school, and there were multiple times where I had to just shut my DS and like throw it away, because like the waifu like would show up on screen and say, "Blow on me, I'm really hot from taking a bath."
Oh my god.
And I'm like, oh.
Well, Xenoblade 2 hasn't gotten that cringy yet, but that's pretty bad. Was that from Awakening?
That was not from Awakening. That was from the other one that happened after Awakening.
Okay. Well, that was bad. Because I'm scared now, because I have Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn that I haven't started yet in my backlog.
So those two are before the waifus.
Okay, good. So I'm safe.
There's none of that. There's none of the really creepy waifu stuff in those games. Awakening was the one that started doing waifu stuff, and then I think it's Fire Emblem. There's Bloodlines, I believe Bloodlines. The other one is it's not Bloodlines. I'm forgetting. But there were 3 Fire Emblem games that all came out, and it got really, really waifu-y. They wanted to implement the same like baby making system from Awakening, but didn't have the time travel mechanic of Awakening.
You just said the words baby making system.
Oh yeah. If you and
why don't they just make a porn game?
If a man and a female character get close enough in a relationship, then they will have a baby. That will have like a combination of their stats. In Awakening, it made more sense because there was a timeline, like a time travel mechanic, so the babies would like be the same age as everybody else and show back up in the current game. While in the newest one, what they did for this was they just put them in the baby dimension, and in the baby dimension, the babies live all by themselves and slowly grow up to
only Japan.
Like you have the baby, you throw them in the dimension, and then like a week later they're like 18 years old, so you can have them fight in the army with you.
Oh my god. Only Japan, dude. Only Japan.
Yeah. But this game doesn't seem to have a lot of that, which I'm excited for. There probably will be some because
it'll come as DLC.
It'll probably exist. but I don't think it'll be to the same extreme, which
is a good thing.
I am relieved
there
about.
exists Bishojo games, and we don't need Fire Emblem to become a Bishojo game.
It's basically there. But
well, I think it's time to address.
This one does not look like it. So.
It's time to address the two elephants in the room. We'll address the smaller of the elephants first. Super Mario Party.
Yeah,
looks
no more cars.
Amazing. No more cars. Thank God. They finally learned. It only took them 2 or 3 games to figure that out. But 2 games.
That's right. But right. Still.
2 games to figure it out.
Gosh,
and a couple of bad portable games.
Oh yes.
But I think they finally found their next good Mario Party. I'm actually actively excited to play it when it comes out in October.
Oh no, I'm actually I've got, because the Nintendo does the Treehouse stuff afterwards where they demo a lot of their games, and I'm gonna actually watch the Mario Party one to see if there's any new mechanics added to the game, because it seems like there's a lot of new characters, including the ability to play as both Bowser and Donkey Kong.
Yes, I saw Bowser's a playable character too now. That's insane for me.
Yeah,
he was kind of a playable character in the Wii U version 1 if you had his amiibo.
Kind of, but he was also antagonistic, I thought. So
yes, he still was.
Yeah, so this one seems like he's actually joining the party. And I've later read that it is going to have online multiplayer.
That's amazing. That is oh my God, that's going to be great. That's everything we want. Now you can ruin your friendships wherever you are.
I'm so excited.
You and me are going to have a lot of Mario Party playing time together.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I am excited.
But yeah, so then that looks really good. There's going to be a lot of shifting. It looks like they use the hardware in the Switch to actually position it to edit maps for the games, and it looks like the switches know where they are in relation to each other on a table.
Yeah, no,
like in real time. They change in
really
real time.
Cool.
It doesn't have to synchronize or anything. It just knows where it is. That's mind-blowing to me.
Yes, I agree.
I didn't even think that we were at that point of wireless communication from one thing to the other, but here we are.
Yeah, no, it is awesome.
That's like Echo Sonar location. Those switches like a bat now.
It's yeah, so I'm interested to see what games actually implement that, because obviously we saw the one. But I want to see
I'm hoping there'll be more than the others.
No, for sure. I hope so too. And I'm also curious as to how that'll work with online play.
That's true. I feel like that's gonna have to be. It's gonna have just a couple of set configurations for online play.
Possibly.
Because there's no way you're gonna know where it is in relation to the other one over the internet.
No, exactly.
Unless that's GPS, and I don't think the Switch has been there. It has a hard enough time staying connected to the left Joy-Con, let alone another fucking Switch.
Yeah.
Well,
no, that looks super cool, and I'm really excited to see what they do with that. A lot of the mini games look fun and look like new mini games and not just like.
And I'm not even gonna wait for a review on this one. I mean, I haven't for the last couple ones just because I'm a Mario Party fanboy. But I'm gonna be picking Mario Party up for sure day one.
Yeah,
especially and if I'm working and I can't get a physical copy of it, then I'll buy it digitally. I don't even care.
No, exactly.
That is a game that I need to have. This is a game that I need. I need that game.
And the one plus is I can play as Waluigi in this game, unlike the next game we're about to talk about.
Nice segue. Let's talk about the Museum of Super Smash Brothers. That is Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. Holy shit, dude! Every fucking character we've ever had in one game, and not only that, we're getting Pokemon Trainer back in his former glory.
I'm so excited. Pokemon Trainer was one of my mains in Brawl, and honestly, I used both Squirtle and Venusaur more than I used Charizard.
Yeah, so, I remember you telling me that, and you were kind of sad that Charizard's the one that got to be kept.
And Charizard's the one that got to be kept, so I'm so glad they're bringing them all back. It looks like they're adding like insta change it to different Pokemon, so you can like combo with that, and that, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to play around with Pokemon Trainer. No, but and
Wolf is coming back, and Snake is coming back, and Ice Climbers is coming back. Snake is gonna have the voice of David Hayter from the good games, not that other one that we won't talk about. From the good games, Metal Gear Solid will have its original
playing
voice
against
actor
people who
playing it.
were
playing
not
Snake.
very good at Melee, I would always play as Pichu. Just to give them a little bit more of a leverage.
We're gonna have 3 links.
So I have played a lot of Pichu back in my day, and I am so excited to mess around with Pichu again.
I was getting pretty salty early on in this trailer. I'm not gonna lie, because they showed us we're gonna have 3 links, not just 2. We're gonna have 3 links, because we're having everybody who's ever been in the game.
Everyone, even Young Link. That's the craziest one to me, because Young Link and Toon Link are basically the same person.
And and they're going to be they should be clone characters, but they're
not.
Well,
that's the thing. They did not classify them as Echo characters. And they also didn't classify Dr. Mario as an Echo character.
No,
for people who didn't watch the conference, an Echo character is now what they are calling clone characters in this game. So yeah, Dr. Mario is not an Echo character. And apparently they've shown off that he has a new down attack in the air, where instead of doing the punch like Mario does, he like extends his body and has a meteor smash with his feet.
That's pretty cool.
And it's like, yeah, so I'm guessing they're going to actually mix up some of the characters who were originally clones and give them a bit more of extra stuff to them.
Mewtwo and Lucario are going to be different.
Yes.
They're pretty similar in some aspects, but they were more different than the Links, I will say.
No, definitely.
We're getting, and what I was originally saying is I'm angry seeing that there were going to be 3 Links, because I'm like, really? You're going to give them more love and you're still not going to put another Metroid character in? But they finally shut me up. They finally shut me up. They finally fucking did it. They put Ridley in the game.
They did.
I wanted somebody from the Hunters roster, but you know what? This is a pretty good compromise. I'll accept it.
Yeah, and he looks absolutely crazy.
He looks unlike any other Smash character I've ever seen before in terms of his fighting style.
Oh, definitely.
Because like usually with the bigger guys, they're he looks like a heavy hitter, but he's got a charge move that rockets his butt across the screen. So maneuverability is not going to be a problem for this guy, and he's a heavy hitter. That's insane to me.
That down B tail attack can do 50 damage in 1v1. That is filthy.
Absolutely ridiculous. Filthy. Nobody's ever done that. No one has ever done that in the history of Smash Brothers.
Yeah, not that much damage. Like even Jigglypuff's is like I think 34 for her rest.
Yeah, I love seeing that stuff. And that thing where he like drags him across the stage as he like rockets over to the other side like
cool.
that. He's gonna be the first person I play. If he's available, unless I have to unlock him, in which case the first thing I do is going to be running off the stage again and again and again until I can unlock him, like I do in every other Smash Brothers game. So I have all the characters in front of me.
They did explain that they were going to make unlocking characters much more streamlined, so you'd be unlocking them much quicker than you would in previous titles.
Which is good because it's a fighting game.
No, exactly. So I'm curious to see what that actually means and how they actually implement that.
I'm excited for Wolf to return. I'm excited for because I actually liked Wolf in Brawl. It was like one of the few characters I actually enjoyed playing in Brawl. Brawl is my least favorite of the franchise so far, but it did have some of my favorite characters that did not return. And because I had a lot of fun with them.
I cannot wait to.
And I can't wait to play Snake without having to play Brawl. More importantly, I can't wait to play. I can't wait to play Ice Climbers without having to play Brawl. And the other thing that I noticed that I like that they're bringing back midair dodges. They're putting a cooldown, not really a cooldown, but they're making it less effective to just continuously dodge.
Yes.
They're gonna add throw teching. Was added later that they're gonna put that in the game. So it actually looks like this might be the first Super Smash Brothers game that's gonna actually be a fighting game.
No, they are making this a lot more. They're trying to make this appeal a lot more to esports people.
I think so too, and I think that's with the nature of what Smash Brothers is at its heart. I think that's a good decision.
I agree. And just small little touches like those. A lot of what you said is really big, but like even the small touches of where the screen, like if you do a big hit on someone, the screen will like slow down and zoom up on them.
That's in the 1v1 mode only, to clarify.
Yeah, that is in 1v1 mode. But that is so cool, like that, because Tekken does a lot of that kind of thing too. And those are like the hypest parts in Tekken, where the game like slows down and you have time to like see what's going to happen. That's always really cool. I also, it's a small addition, but I also really like the fact that in 1v1 mode, when somebody dies, the like numbers take up the entire screen to show you how many stocks each person has.
Yes, yes, and killing assist trophies now actually get you score.
Yeah, which that is cool too. And that's mostly in time.
Sounds like
mode,
they're gonna ruin my favorite mode.
hey! What they are adding to your favorite mode, which I'm excited about, is that they are going to make because you never know who's winning or losing in time mode. So I like the addition that they're adding, where they kind of make the person who is winning glow a bit.
Yeah.
So
every once in a while, not constantly.
Yeah, not constantly, but just enough.
It's very subtle too.
Yes, but just enough to give you the
like. Okay, we need to start going after him.
Yes. They did not show a lot of at least I didn't really see a lot of item play in the trailer, but at least the items don't seem as broken as they were in 4. Just for a little bit of background, and I'm sure you're the same way, Cam. I actually liked playing with items every once in a while.
I liked playing with items as well. I know I'm the minority for this.
Yeah, but I feel like I am too. But
you can only play so many matches of Fox only Final Destination before you want to switch it up.
Exactly, and items can be fun, but Smash 4 has items that are
horrible.
You are horrible, and you have no counterplay.
The last game that I actually had a fun time playing with items was actually Melee. Because the items in Melee, while they were strong, they weren't like ludicrously broken to the point where it ruined the game.
I'd agree. I do think Brawl's not that bad with its items. Like, I do like the Smash Ball.
No, I mean the Smash Ball is a good addition too. I'm not. The fake Smash Ball looks horrible to me. That's gonna anger me. That's gonna anger me because there's no way to tell it apart. It's like the mini and the Mega Mushroom.
Tell. You actually can tell.
You can.
You can. The horizontal line on the ball is a lot thicker on the fake one than it is in the normal one.
Ah, I see.
It's kind of slight, but you can tell the difference.
That is.
You can tell the difference.
I'll have to go back and look because I missed that.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting an insta-kill final smash instead of these weird varied ones, which I think is for the better as well because I like playing as Peach, but it was kind of a drawback with how crappy your final smash was.
That's the thing. They didn't show off Peach's final smash.
No, they didn't.
So what is hers going to be now?
And there's a whole bunch of characters they didn't talk about because, like, remember Snake's he'd be like, "It's showtime," and then he'd start shooting his grenade launcher, and it was like a rail shooter, but you couldn't just point at the screen.
Yeah, maybe a Metal Gear will show up and like just.
Oh my god! I can only hope so. Or maybe it's something with Big Boss or something like that.
Maybe that would be cool too.
Something with Revolver Ocelot or Liquid or something like. I hope it's a classic reference and not something to the 5th game. But with them using his voice from the older games, I would assume if they're going to do anything, it's going to be one of the older things for the fans.
I would
that's the biggest shock to me too. I wanted to add that Solid not only is Solid Snake back, but it's David Hayter's Solid Snake, the one that people actually like, not Kiefer Sutherland's Solid Snake.
Yes, no, I'm really surprised about that too. I'm just glad they were able to.
And I know David Hayter's got to be fucking happy as shit being able to play his character again.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because that was his favorite thing he's ever done, if I recall from what he's told me, from what he's told the gaming universe.
I'm sure even Kojima, like, even though he's not working at Konami anymore, was really happy to see Snake made it in the game.
Yeah, there's a weird history with what's going on with him in that franchise, but.
I know.
But yeah, we're getting an inkling from Splatoon, which actually looks like they have a pretty cool mechanic. Painting your opponent, the more they're painted, the more damage they take, the farther they get knocked back.
Which is actually very similar to a mechanic to characters in Rivals of Aether, which is the kind of like Smash for PC, but with furries. It's got a similar mechanic where you can burn characters and if you have the burn on the character, you'll do more damage with your smash attacks.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. I'm looking forward to playing as them, and I also like that they didn't just like stick with normal colors for all of them, and actually gave them all different hats and clothes for each one, because it gives it a lot more variety.
Yes, I agree. So there's a lot of changes that are coming to that. Where 8-player battles are going to be making a return, no doubt, with the use of the GameCube attachment thing that came out for the Wii U, which we are going to be able to use that. We basically knew we were getting a Smash once they said that was going to be compatible with the Switch. We knew that we were either getting a new Smash or we are going to get GameCube functionality with the Switch in the terms of classic console online. I can't think of what it's called, virtual console, which we still didn't hear any more about that from Nintendo either. But hopefully that's in the pipes still, or at least potential. I hope that it can happen. I'd like it to happen. GameCube was great, and GameCube stuff is getting rather pricey now, so it would be nice to see them make some like digital content for GameCube to help cut the scalpers out of the people, and the people who just want to play the older games can play them in a budget way.
I agree too. I really want a way to. I really want a remake or just a port of Sunshine and Thousand Year Door specifically, because I never got to play Thousand Year Door, and I'd love to play some Sunshine again.
Well, that pretty much wraps up Nintendo for me, unless you had anything else you wanted to add.
I mean, there was Damon Ex Machina, but it was just a robot game. I don't really know too much about, and
that looks pretty insane, though.
It does. Too. It does.
I'm looking forward to that.
That's about it, though.
Well, so we'll come to the final part of this podcast, and that's going to be ranking E3. Who do you think had the worst, the best, and who's your honorable mention?
So I have
because we always disagree here. We always disagree. Yes, we never agree.
We always do. So subjectively, if I wanted to subjectively pick the best of E3, I would have to say Nintendo, because I am a huge Smash player and I love Smash. So everything they showed about Smash was super exciting to me. I mean, seeing all the new little changes, just seeing Ridley, it was all really cool. But I know a lot of people were really upset that there weren't Metroid Prime, there wasn't any Bayonetta, and there wasn't any Animal Crossing.
And Smash kind of ran the show for a good solid 30 minutes.
Exactly. And Smash ran the show. And while I love Smash, and if I was subjectively saying that my favorite press conference would be Nintendo, but because they spent so much time on Smash, I'm saying objectively they weren't the best conference, and I have to say objectively I think the best conference was Microsoft. They really took the
Never
Sony
thought I'd
approach.
hear that from you.
I know. I never thought I'd be saying that either. But they took the Sony approach that Sony usually does, where they just show game after game after game after game. And Microsoft showed a lot this year. It might not have all been to my liking, but they showed a lot. And if you weren't interested in one thing, they'd be showing another thing. They had a very big variety of games.
And five developers that they've outright bought out to make exclusives for them. So they're looking ahead to the future, and they're investing in their platform, which I think is much needed on their part, considering how the last year has gone.
Definitely, because there really hasn't been a lot. So them showing that they have a lot, they're working on some first-party games, and they have bought new studios to make new first-party games. I'd say overall Microsoft's was the best of E3. If I had to go with worst, I'd probably have to go. So subjectively, I think the worst for me would be Bethesda, because I just wasn't interested in anything that they showed. But I know a lot of people were really excited for a lot of the stuff that they showed. So I think if I had to pick a worst of E3, it would probably be EA. just because we talked about the good stuff, but there was a lot of not good stuff that was shown.
Yeah,
Half
that's
of the
fair.
conference was sports games, which I don't think anyone that really watches E3 is all that excited for, because they're basically the same game every year with like minor changes
Updates
to
to the
the
rosters.
roster
Yeah.
and career modes and stuff like that. And for some reason, they spent 15 minutes shoutcasting a mobile game that they're trying to like push as an esport, which just everything about that sentence is disgusting.
Mobile esports.
Mobile esports is just it's
Oh,
awful. And they shoutcasted it, and like they had these people who were apparently big names in the mobile game esport community,
that's not that should never be a thing.
which
But
should
yeah.
not be a thing. And they kept trying to make this mobile game gameplay super exciting, and they showed it on screen for like 10-15 minutes, and it was probably one of the worst things I've ever seen at E3.
You know, the funny thing is, in 5 years, you and I are both going to be eating our words about mobile
Oh,
games,
I'm
sadly.
sure.
But
I'm sure. But
hey, it's what the kids
as of-
want. So
as of right now, I think I'd have to say EA was the most disappointing.
and what's your
or
honor?
the worst?
So would you say you're honorable? So EA's your worst, and Nintendo and Microsoft are flip flop best or honorable mention, considering
Exactly.
contingent upon
Considering if
which
you
way you're looking at it.
Yes. Like I said, subjectively, I was more excited for Nintendo, but I think objectively, Microsoft had the best showing and best conference overall.
I actually, you're not gonna believe this, but I am actually pretty much with you 100% except for worst.
Okay.
The stuff that EA showed off, I really liked. That was pertinent to me. I really enjoyed.
Yes.
The other stuff I didn't really care about, like the sports and stuff. But in terms of like who showed the littlest amount of actual like original content off, I'd have to actually say was Square Enix, because every single thing that they showed off for the most part was covered in bigger and broader in terms of detail and gameplay footage shown at other conferences.
That is fair.
So they didn't have a lot of their own content. And Bethesda also, while I like their games, they did not show a lot of actual gameplay at their conferences. It was mostly just logos.
That is
so
true.
those two those are kind of tied for me
Okay.
for lowest on the tier. And the Bethesda's hard to say out loud because I really love Wolfenstein, I really love Doom, and I love Quake Champions. But I mean, I didn't see anything about them. I don't know anything about those games other than they exist. Well, I know Quake Champions because I played it, but I like that it's getting more people are going to be able to play it for free because the game's not out yet. So they're trying to make it have a bigger player base, which I can appreciate. Subjectively and objectively, for me both, I would actually give the crowning achievement to Nintendo, just because not only is in terms of content being released this year. You've got one big name game coming out for Microsoft that's exclusive. You've got one big name game for Sony that's coming out that's an exclusive. Nintendo has like a game coming out every single month until the end of the year. That is so what is the console to own this year? The Nintendo Switch, because Forza Horizon 4 and Spider-Man, that's what you got to look forward to on the other consoles, and then a plethora of multiplats. But in terms of if you like the exclusives, like Switch is running the game right now, hands down.
No, for sure. You got Tennis Aces coming out this month. You've got Octopath Traveler coming out next month.
I'm not sure what's coming out in August, but I know there's something coming out in August. There's Mario Party is coming out in October.
Yep.
It's September. We've got that huge DLC for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and then in November, I don't know what we're getting in November. December, we're getting Smash. So there's something else that's coming out of it. I can't remember what it was. I think it was the Pokemon game.
No, you're right. Yes, it is. That is coming out in November.
So like every single month, Nintendo has something for us to look forward to. Both Microsoft and Sony are gonna kind of blow their load early. It's just going to be both of them are giving us a game in September, and then after that it's multi-platforms.
After that, it's Red Dead.
Yeah, basically, nobody wanted to contend with Red Dead this year. Call of Duty is still going to be releasing kind of close to it, but that's a safe
I never
bet.
realized that there was no Red Dead Redemption at any of the conferences.
No, there wasn't. I guess
That
Rockstar
seems
is
like a
going to
big
have their
oversight.
own. Rockstar thinks that their game is big enough to have their own conference later on down the line about it, which with the amount of people who are Rockstar fans, I won't argue that it isn't.
Yeah,
So,
no, that's true.
So I'm pretty excited for I think Nintendo won hands down for me. An honorable mention for me would go to Microsoft because while they've been struggling a lot in recent years to put out solid first party games. It does look like they've invested a lot of money into the coming years, and that Xbox, while this generation's at the end of its lifespan in terms of console selling, it shows that there's still there's a lot of life left in this generation as far as the games are coming. We've got five new studios signed on to make games for the future, which with Playground Games, that basically guarantees that there's going to be a Forza Horizon 5 at some point. Which we just talked about showing us when it's going to come out, and that looks great. There's going to be new Halo content coming. There's the people that we might be getting a Kung Fu Chaos remaster or at least backwards compatibility because they name dropped that on stage. I don't know why they wouldn't if there wasn't some plans in the pipe for it. But I mean I understand a lot of people are going to put Microsoft at number one, and I don't judge them for that. And I'm as a big Microsoft fanboy myself. I'm actually I'm pretty sure that comes as a shock to you that I didn't put them at the top of the list.
Yeah, I know.
But they definitely did show me a lot of stuff, and the one thing that kept me from picking Microsoft being number one is no release dates on any of these things. No release dates. I don't know when these games are coming out, so when I don't see a date, it makes it hard for me to be excited about it because it's not a real thing until I know when it's coming out.
That is fair.
I've been burned from Scalebound. Like I was in tears when that got canceled because it looked so good, and it just made me take a step back from everything and be like, it made me really apathetic to everything now. It's like I don't care unless there's a date now, because if there's not a date, then it's not real.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. That's totally fair.
And Sony showed off a lot of good stuff too. They were almost an honorable mention for me, but they did lean really heavily handed into the stuff that had already been announced. So
they did that.
But the new stuff that they showed off looks okay. It looks like it'll be all right.
They also didn't show a lot, so like if you weren't interested in one thing, well, too bad because you're gonna watch it for the next 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And
like they showed next to nothing on Remedy's game, and that was like the thing. I was like, wait, go back to that.
Yes. No, and then there's that entire point in the conference in between Left 4 Dead or Last of Us 2 and the rest of the games. There was like a 20-minute just nothing in between to move to the next venue, and like I gotta say that really killed it for me.
Yeah, their pacing was terrible.
The pacing was really bad, and they're usually so good with it that it was kind of painful.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying Sony had the best and worst conference of 2018.
Yeah, that you know what? That's fair.
But yeah, so that's my a lot of people thought
take.
Nintendo. Yeah, a lot of people thought Nintendo was looking not too good, but I disagree wholeheartedly. When I'm passionate about Smash Brothers, and even if you're not, I mean, hopefully you like Mario Party.
Exactly.
and if you don't like either of those two things, do you just hate fun? Like, do you just hate having a good time with friends? Like, I don't know. I think Nintendo showed a little bit of something for everybody, and that's kind of why I put them in the top.
Yeah.
But that's all I've got for this time for everybody. Thank you for speaking with me on this podcast, Bart. I appreciate you taking 2.5 hours out of your day to go over this stuff.
Man.
To go over
Thanks
this stuff.
for having me.
Thanks you, and I'll definitely have to feature you again as some of these things come out and we both play them.
No, definitely. I'm like I said, I'm a gamer, so I'm ready to talk about games
all day long, like me. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see ya.